Hey, longtime listeners, this is Shades here to tell you about our sponsor this week. It's you, our longtime listeners. If you would like to actively support this show, you can head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/shadesansketch. We are looking for 10 subscribers to kick in $30 a month so that we can keep this show on the air ad-free, free of things that you don't care about and we don't believe in. So once again, that's patreon.com/shadesansketch. Thank you so much to all of our current patrons. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming to you over on the Patreon very soon, season 2. Now on to this week's episode.
Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch. Welcome back, longtime listeners.
Welcome back.
Guys,
season 2.
Feels good to be back in the GOCO after a little winter reprieve.
Yeah.
A little downtime.
Yeah.
A little
Time
break
well
from
spent.
the action. Absolutely. But I have been excited to get back.
I can see that, Sketch.
Yes. Guys, speaking of the GOCO, every time you join us in another corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. Shades, where are we this time?
Well, Sketch, little snafu.
We're back.
We're back, but very difficult to power the GOCO. We have ran out of fuel.
Stranded, some might say.
Yes. We
self-exiled, some might say.
Yeah, we've cut ourselves off from the Geeking Out multiverse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are here on Ach-To.
Back again.
Thank goodness these force sensitive trees seem to burn forever, or we would be
cold,
frozen.
Yeah, we're just chomping on some porg.
Yeah. Fortunately, an abundance of porg.
Last time we were here, we found that nice brown robe. Remember that nice brown robe? I went back to the same spot. You know what I found? Mechanical arm. Mechanical hand.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to need one of those.
I've been using it like chopsticks for my porg. Finger licking good, just not my fingers. So guys, if we are back on Ach-To, that must mean that
with a mechanical arm.
With a mechanical arm and roasted pork, that must mean that once again we're talking about The Last Jedi. We're still talking Last Jedi.
Still talking Last Jedi.
No, just kidding. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was a new installment of Star Wars.
Sketch, there was a great disturbance in the Force.
As always, as these movies now cause.
Yes.
So what we are really talking about in this episode is
The Rise of Skywalker.
You knew.
Yeah.
You knew. We gotta
the big
talk
premiere
about
of season 2.
And it's the big conclusion of the Skywalker Saga.
Essentially the movie universe.
The movie universe.
The mainline movie universe.
And there's just a lot to dig into. Oof. So before we start, do we have a theme song?
Of course we have
the most classic of theme songs. Da 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 da. Perfect. It doesn't get any more iconic than that.
Yeah.
And I assume moving forward with any new properties that Disney comes out with, we won't have that score.
I imagine
any longer. So we gotta do it.
Yeah. Only the mainline story has you right.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Rogue One didn't. Solo didn't.
Oh wow.
Mandalorian doesn't. It's just the Star Wars, just the Skywalker Saga.
Wow.
So end of an era.
I'm glad John Williams got his cameo.
I am also glad John Williams got his cameo because my guess is now he's done making music for Star Wars.
Yeah.
He's done.
I would
well,
agree.
Though. I think he's done well.
Maybe we'll finally get that 5th Jaws sequel.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we'll come back for that.
There wasn't a Jaws 5?
I don't believe so.
Wow.
4 took place in SeaWorld.
Okay. That's.
And, wait, no, 3 took place in SeaWorld.
Okay.
4 was The Revenge.
Yes.
I don't believe there's 5. Let's just hope.
Jaws in space first, and then Jaws time travel.
That would be Coco bananas.
Oh, and then Jaws 7.
I would go see that in a minute.
Jaws 7, Jaws Tokyo Drift. And then Jaws 8 would be the multiverse, the Jaws multiverse, probably.
Yeah.
If we're going based on trends.
Yes.
That seems how we'd be doing this. But guys, this is not the Jaws 8
It's not. No.
episode. This is the Rise of Skywalker episode. So, Shades, what do you want to start with? History of this particular movie?
Man, okay.
I mean, we don't need to talk about our history with Star Wars. We've talked about that at great length.
Sure.
I think Rogue One was our first dive into Star Wars, so if you're interested.
Yeah, Rogue One. We started with Rogue One.
Well, man, what a bummer.
Oof, what a
bummer.
You know, I loved that movie the first time I saw it. And then I've seen
Rogue One 3 times, and probably each time I've seen it, it has reduced my enjoyment by half.
Yeah. I would watch Civil War again before I would watch.
I remember hearing that. Was it for Rogue One that you came up with the Civil War
I think so.
analogy? Okay. The Civil War rating system?
Yes.
The CWRS, as we call it here in the GOCO.
Yeah.
We abbreviate everything here.
History.
History of the Rise of Skywalker.
In August of 2015, it was announced that Colin Trevorrow, Jurassic World, would direct Episode 9 and write the script with collaborator Derek Connolly.
Okay.
Pre-production began in February of 2016. However, pre-production began in February of 2016 with a release date of May 24th, 2019. However, by December 2016, it was clear there was a great disturbance in the Force.
Oh, no.
Carrie Fisher's death, along with story complications from Rian Johnson's Last Jedi, triggered a series of rewrites.
Story complications? What a kind way to say that. I like to call them subversions of expectations.
Sure, yes. Triggered a series of rewrites. Now confirmed reports. We've recently gotten leaks that were confirmed by Trevorrow. Duel of the Fates, real. That was his final version of his Episode 9 script. He wrote 7 drafts of Episode 9, none of which were approved by Kathleen Kennedy. Trevorrow and Kennedy's relationship became, quote, unmanageable after failing to produce a story she would approve. On September 5th, 2017, it was announced that Trevorrow had left the project. Then that day, it was rumored that Rian Johnson would write and direct, which he immediately denied. And the next day, September 6th, it was announced that J.J. Abrams would be back to write and direct Episode 9 with a release of 12/20/2019.
Wow.
Bonkers.
There's a big question there that I want to ask, but I'm going to save it for,
Do you want to write it down so you don't forget?
I actually have it already on this page.
Okay, great.
It relates. Guys, there's a lot. There's a lot here
guys,
to talk
I
about.
have 7 pages of Last Jedi notes that I've
Get comfy.
I have
Get comfy, everybody.
Boiled down in a nice reduction to 3.5 pages.
Perfect.
Principal photography began on August 1st, 2018, and wrapped February 15th, 2019.
Yikes.
With reshoots taking place in September and October of 2019. Post-production wrapped on November 25th, 2019, less than 1 month before the film's premiere.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, that explains a lot about Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Should we just say right off the bat that we both enjoyed this movie?
Yes,
we both enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed the movie. I will say that.
Because we came out a little hard on Last Jedi.
Yes.
So,
and I do want to reframe some of what I said in Last Jedi.
Sure.
When we kind of boil down the whole universe.
It shouldn't surprise people, I think, that you and I enjoyed this movie based on our opinions of The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Because I really think all that exists in this world, just like light and dark, are the people who liked Last Jedi and the people who liked Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
We're going to get there.
We are. Do I have any more notes on that?
No, then the movie came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the movie came out.
And you saw this one before I did.
I did.
You lucky
You
dog.
had your tickets, like, in advance, and I went on a whim on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock showing to an empty theater. Or, like, maybe 30 people in a theater in Providence.
No, the issue was, there was just, for me, there was, listen,
did you see it in IMAX?
I saw it in IMAX
Okay.
on the Saturday it came out. So it came out Thursday night, but we went with a lot of people, so it's tough orchestrating.
So IMAX was sold out for weeks. I couldn't get into IMAX if I wanted to, and they only did IMAX showings in Rhode Island for one showing a day. I'm sorry, they only did 3D IMAX showings.
Oh.
For one showing a day.
Did not see this in 3D. Only saw regular IMAX.
I
think I have officially. I'm done with 3D.
I hate 3D.
Yeah,
but I think
I won't see anything else.
My personal opinion is if you're gonna see a movie in IMAX, you might as well see it in 3D.
Yeah, the glasses just give me such a headache.
Yeah, I don't really like IMAX either. I saw it the second time I saw Rise of Skywalker. I saw it in IMAX and I enjoyed it much less.
That's interesting. The second time I saw it regular.
I enjoyed it in a regular
make that
theater.
Big of a difference to me.
IMAX is just so goddamn loud.
And much more expensive.
I'm old. Too. It's expensive and it's loud. Anyway.
Yeah, we bought our tickets probably within an hour of them going on sale, and just to get a showing that we could all go to and get primo seats for, it bumped us all the way to Saturday. So
wow.
That's fine.
How many is all of us?
6 of us.
Wow. So we got two tickets on a last minute whim for a 9 o'clock show on the Thursday in a regular theater.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. Should we do the all important internet scores?
It was a stressful 2 days.
Was it?
I was
avoiding
so
spoilers.
stressed I was going to hear something.
Somebody
spoiled.
tagged me in a Twitter post with a spoiler in it that I had already. I said to you.
Yeah.
Before we'll get into it. We should say spoilers for Rise of
Skywalker.
If you're
listening, Star Wars potential.
If you're listening to this episode, I hope you've seen the movie. If you haven't, you should stop now and go.
Also, though, if you're listening and you haven't seen it, we're probably not going to be the ones that spoiled it for you. It's probably already been spoiled.
But I had said to you, before anything, and then we were like, no more talking about it. And the last thing I said was. Here's my final Rey theory. I've gone back. I've looked at some things. Rey's a Palpatine. Final answer. And that was what somebody was like. That was the spoiler I got tagged in. But I said I already figured that one out. And then I said I got to go see this movie right now before that happens again.
I basically just black out internet, and
you go communications dark.
Honest to God, I felt amazing. When I sat in that theater and Star Wars shows up on the screen,
you were excited.
And I was like, I did it. Nothing got through to me.
Weakest crawl of all of the movies, it too. Wow. Why do it?
But I was just so happy that I made it.
Right.
Without anything.
Right.
And honest to God, I think I enjoyed the movie more because I didn't get involved like I did last time with Last Jedi with theories and stuff like that.
But I had said that to you. I said final answer, Rey's a Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
I got tagged in that spoiler, and then we rolled with it.
And then we rolled.
And we saw it.
All important internet scores.
Okay, IMDb gives.
And speaking of all important internet scores, I still to this date haven't looked them up because I wanted to be genuinely interested in what you had to say here.
Okay, cool.
So I don't know.
I should have gotten Metacritic too, but I looked at Metacritic, but I didn't write it down. Do you want me to tell you? Include it in the scores, even though we don't do Metacritic anymore? Sure, because I think it adds credence to the scores. Okay. IMDb, as of when I looked these up, IMDb gave Rise of Skywalker a 6.9. Rotten Tomatoes, critic score, 52%. Fan score, 86%.
Okay, so kind of a flip.
Metacritic, 64.
Okay.
Google, 75% of reviewers.
Low for Google.
It's very low. And I gave this, just for context, I gave Last Jedi a 68.
What did I give Last Jedi?
I don't know.
I'm on to
I only went back and
now,
looked.
So
I went back to my season 1 notebook
and
looked at it.
I should look it up.
I gave Last Jedi a 68. I gave Rise of Skywalker an 80.
Okay.
Sketch.
I gave Rise of Skywalker an 89.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're in the decade.
I originally gave it an 86, but then I thought about some of my big questions made me go back and lower my score because I really don't like the implications that I came to.
I originally gave it an 87 until I saw it again, and then I was like, I'm going to bump it too. But I can't put it in the 90s.
Right.
So I just
Interesting.
I
So
skirted it.
We were originally a point apart from each other.
Yep.
And then you went up and I went down.
Yep. And that's really our relationship.
It is. Yeah.
We both typically start at the same, and then you go down.
I go down
and I go up.
Yeah.
That's what the listeners
have
all
come to
throughout
expect.
season 1. That is what they've come to expect. And guys, we are carrying the torch.
Yeah. I did not prepare a synopsis because I thought rather than a synopsis, we would do a post-mortem on the whole Skywalker saga, but I think we're going to do that in a later episode.
Yeah, guys, this is kind of part 1 of our big season 2 premiere back. We're front loading with Star Wars.
Yes.
So we're
getting
doing
it out of the way.
We're doing Rise of Skywalker for part 1, and then our next episode, I'll spoil it right now, is going to be Mandalorian series and just kind of state of Star Wars.
What's going on with Star Wars now that the Skywalkers are no more.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be more.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So do we do a synopsis? Do you want to do a synopsis?
No, it's just the conclusion of the story.
So it's the conclusion of 9 movies.
I will tell you the synopsis that I sent to you immediately after seeing it.
Please. That was fantastic.
The text I sent you as credits were crawling was, "Hi, I'm J.J. Abrams, and fuck you, Rian Johnson." That was the movie.
It really was.
Let's just take everything that he did.
Yes.
And
undo it.
As best we can.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about that in just
a
few moments.
And I think J.J. Abrams only has himself to blame for that.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. This is the point yet of the episode to talk about
that. Do you want to get right into? Do you just want to talk about the movie organically? Do you want to do rants? Do you want to do?
I want to do rants and raves. I want to start with rants this time.
Great, please do.
Because I do honestly have a lot to rave about, and I want to spend the meat of our time on the raves.
Sure.
So let's just get some of the little rants out of the way. My number 1 rant of the Rise of Skywalker is The Last Jedi.
The last.
That's my number 1 rant.
I just want to say publicly that I do not mention The Last Jedi once in any of my Rise of Skywalker notes, and that I just want to publicly draw attention to the fact that it is Sketch who is now ranting on Last Jedi, go.
Let me explain why I listed that as
I
a
think
rant.
I understand, and I would agree with you.
It's this movie suffered from tremendously the fallout of that movie. And whether or not you like The Last Jedi is not important to acknowledging the fact that this movie suffered because of that movie.
Right.
It was not a continuous story.
Right.
And so that's not on Last Jedi. That wasn't even.
Oh, it's 100% on Last Jedi.
But I mean, the decision at the beginning of this whole trilogy to not even go in with a plan.
Yes.
I can't blame Last Jedi on that completely.
I will blame Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams for that.
And then, so then Last Jedi comes out and it just divides everybody.
Yes.
And it really makes just such a strong line in the sand.
Yeah.
And then this movie felt the responsibility. J.J. Abrams seems to felt the responsibility to just fix everything that everyone complained about.
To try and tell a continuous story.
Yeah.
Because here's the problem here. If I can just piggyback on this for a minute.
We always
and
piggyback.
My first rant is, how do you launch a 3-part movie series and not have the essential questions answered?
Yeah.
And my answer that I came to with that is, J.J. Abrams is the mystery box writer. Sketch, are you familiar with the mystery box style of writing?
Nope.
So when you're creating a work of art or any story, there's usually an end point that you're trying to get to wrap things up.
Sure.
Well, in the mystery box style of writing, and you can go on YouTube and watch J.J. Abrams' TED Talk where he explains the mystery box. You don't do that. You just start writing, and you go wherever the story takes you. Hopefully you inherently see the problem with that.
Yes, I do.
You'll either just keep writing forever, or your story doesn't have a natural progression. And I hate the mystery box. I hate that style of writing. And the whole crux of that is, J.J. Abrams himself tells us, what's important in that. And he says in Lost, did you watch Lost?
No, I
Sketch?
did not watch Lost.
I started watching Lost. I stopped watching in season 2. At the end of season 2, I said,
spoilers for Lost.
Spoilers for Lost.
I jumped in on that. I saw it coming.
Spoilers for Lost. Thank you, Sketch. Nice catch. At the end of Lost, you come to find out that they all died.
Okay.
In the very first episode.
Guess I'm not
They're
watching
all
Lost.
stuck in purgatory.
Ooh.
And this was all like them working through all of their unfinished business to like become the people that they need to become to get into heaven.
Oh, it's kind of like the anime Angel Beats.
Yes.
Okay.
It's exactly that. Great series, by the way.
Very
it is
good
exactly
series.
it is
Very
exactly that story. So good. We should do
what a
that.
heart tugger.
Oh man, we should do that series.
That's a series.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for Angel Beats.
And in the final episode, the main character, it was an ensemble show, but he meets Jack that we've been following through all of these adventures.
Mm-hmm.
He turns around at he's at his own funeral.
Oh boy.
And he turns around and there's his dad, who's been dead for decades.
Yeah.
And his dad says to him, the answers don't matter. It was the journey that mattered.
Oh.
Lost ran for, I think, 7 years.
Yeah.
And in season 2, those of us who were watching, when they didn't push the button that they had to push, and instead of the world exploding, the sky turned purple, and then there was a smoke monster.
Yeah, I thought it was about a plane crash.
Well, that's where this is the mystery box. Where you start doesn't matter, and where you end doesn't matter. It's all the things that happen in between.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like those inspirational posters.
I would say that in life that might be true.
Oh, okay.
But when I'm
not in storytelling.
Yeah, not storytelling.
Yep.
Because storytelling is something I do as part of to escape or for enjoyment.
Satisfaction.
I want to know. Yes.
You want the satisfaction.
Thank you. I want the
end.
satisfaction. And we, at the end of season 2, we all said, "Oh, they're all dead and they're all in purgatory." And J.J. Abrams goes, "No, that's not it."
And then he took backsies.
And then another 5 years go by. At the end of it, it was like, you figured it out in season 2.
Yeah.
But I just wanted you to go on the journey.
That's very childish.
Fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
And you like J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams is probably he's up there in my pantheon of directors. I love his visual style.
Yeah.
I love his visual storytelling. I think there's like a whimsy in a similar way to a Joe Johnston movie.
Sure, of course,
or a Spielberg movie. I love his directorial style, and he's probably my least favorite writer of the millennium or like storyteller. I don't think J.J. Abrams should ever be given control of a script.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. But he's able to raise a lot of money. He has his own production company. These movies were not Lucasfilm movies. They were bad robot movies. Much in the same way that he did with Star Trek. He got to create his own separate Star Trek universe and just like do the same thing in Star Trek. Where's it going? We don't fucking know. None of it seems to make sense. And that's because of the mystery box style of writing.
Yeah, and I mean, and so
what's
there
in
you
the
go.
box? It doesn't matter what's in the box.
That's
what you think is in the box is what matters.
That's what I mean when I say The Last Jedi is my first rant, is that there wasn't a clear direction. There was no clear
I don't
endpoint.
blame Rian Johnson.
No, I also don't blame Rian Johnson.
The thing I will say about that is, and reframe it, is Rian Johnson had the responsibility of picking up the story at the end of the first installment.
Yes.
And bringing the story to its climax in such a way that somebody else could be completed. And what Rian Johnson did was said, none of these 7 movies matter.
Yep.
None of it matters.
Well,
you're a nobody.
Then
why have I been watching these fucking movies?
This is the big question then that I was going to say, but it's a perfect time to ask it. Like, if Rian did do the 3rd movie, what was he going to do? Where was he going to go from there? I would
imagine the only thing they could have done at that point was Rey was going to train Broomstick Kid.
Broomstick Kid?
Yeah.
He showed up at the end of Rise of... He was on like a little tricycle flying through.
Yes, he had his tricycle speeder bike
and
with his broom.
Then they killed him.
Yep.
It was dark. But that's how we knew the stakes were high. Stakes were high.
And they exploded. So yeah, the problem with Last Jedi is it's the climax of a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the penultimate chapter
mm-hmm.
of the things that happen in episode 8.
Yeah,
should be. Episode 8 needed to resolve the Skywalker lineage,
mm-hmm.
and end that story.
Yeah.
So that episode 9 could end the universe.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what needed to happen. And instead, Rian Johnson uses it as a launching point for an expanded universe trilogy that he's, in theory, still going to direct at some point.
Yeah.
But I think we all secretly, I think we all know that is shuttered and on indefinite.
And so, and we'll leave it. We'll leave it behind.
Hiatus.
But I mean, that's my issue. This movie, bringing it back to Rise of Skywalker, it had to spend too much time, too much screen time of this movie.
Episode 7 to episode 9.
Yes.
And then fixing episode 8.
Fixing it so that we could finish the story.
Fixing the story, not the movie.
Yes. And then delivering a quote satisfying end to the viewers. Did you I certainly didn't catch all of the times that JJ said F you to Ryan, but
there were a lot of them.
Can I list to you some of them?
Sure, please.
Number 1.
I'm glad that you made the list.
Well, I don't know if this is number 1. Just here's the ones that obvious.
Laser
obvious
swords.
Ones. Luke catches the
the
lightsaber, saying a Jedi's weapon deserves to be respected.
Yes.
Okay, that's a big F you.
That is a big F you. Yes.
You can toss it over my shoulder.
Yep.
Oh, now I'm going to catch it.
Did you think I was just going to go off with my laser sword and take on the whole First Order?
Yeah.
Yes. And in fact...
And that's what you do.
You did, in fact, do that. A little bit of a cheat. But that was a giant fuck you move. And J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, the co-writer, who... let me look that up.
Okay.
Because... J.J. Abrams wrote this movie with the guy who wrote Batman versus Superman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Do
you bleed? You will.
Which I'll say controversially was a better written movie, I think.
I'd like to do Batman versus Superman.
I went back and listened to some old episodes.
Yeah.
We referenced the Batman versus Superman episode.
We got to do it,
and we've never done it.
I have a lot to say about that movie. Anyway, here's another one while you're looking that up. Luke lifts his X-wing out of the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another one. Well, this is an obvious one.
Chris Terrio, I got it right, and David Goyer.
This is an obvious one. Rey is not a nobody.
Rey is not a yes.
That's obvious. The Holdo maneuver is a 1 in a million shot.
That shouldn't have worked.
Which all I can think of is...
that's a 1 in a million shot.
All I can think of is...
amazing.
Her missing.
I know.
And then just ending up somewhere alone.
In the middle of an asteroid.
All the rebels have been blown out of the way because... Anyway.
That was priceless.
Rose just in general. But specifically that...
And I feel so bad for Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes, I feel bad for the actress.
That you get to be a part of this universe, and this is the way in which you're. And the excuse they gave is absolute bullshit.
What was the excuse?
We wanted her to be the new Leia. Like she was going to be holding down the base and keeping everything together because Leia was dying.
Oh, they should have portrayed that.
And there were more scenes, but they didn't blend well with the footage we had of Carrie, and it just didn't work. It didn't look right, so we just didn't put them in the movie. And I call bullshit on that.
The big thing, the big take back with Rose is that she lets Finn sacrifice himself for the greater good in this movie.
Yes.
And that was her big climax of the
And all they had to do was have her do the assault with Finn.
Easy fix.
Easy fix. That's their mission in this movie. Instead, we get an unnamed stormtrooper lady who...
She ended up having a name, but it's forgettable.
Yeah.
General Hux's whiny ass is killed.
Oh! Oh, okay, you're going to turn Hux into the comic relief? We're going to kill him.
Yeah, because he was he was a great scene-chewing villain in Force Awakens, and then in the second one, we just turned him into a whiny kid, and then
we'll just comic relief.
blast him in the chest.
Yep.
Anakin's lightsaber is repaired.
Yep.
And continues on.
Yep.
And Snoke was a clone all along.
Yes, he was just a clone of Palpatine all along.
Those are the big FUs.
Yep. Well, and Palpatine being alive.
And Palpatine being alive. Which to me is more just like a last ditch. Okay, well, we got to bring someone in. What are we going to do? Make a brand new villain for the ninth and final installment?
I'll say without getting into raves, I thought that where do you go after The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, Palpatine's like, fuck you, Palpatine's alive.
Yeah. We'll get there because I have that in raves too. Let's move on from Last Jedi.
Okay, sure. Man, rants.
I have a couple others. My others are like petty. Not petty.
No, I have some
things that bothered me, and I still want to talk about them.
And this is part of my first rant, so I'll just keep going.
Keep going.
The whole thing feels like a first draft.
Sure.
The dagger that points to the Death Star.
Yeah.
Ugh. Who the fuck made that? Like, oh, what a MacGuffin. I mean, there have been some big MacGuffins in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But this is the ultimate MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Because that dagger can be no more than 30 years old.
Tops.
Someone had to stand in that exact spot.
Yeah.
And then make the dagger.
Yep. Make some
that
reference sketches and do that. Yeah.
Why not just take the fucking holocron?
Yeah.
And I guess presumably the only two people that knew it could have been there are dead.
They're dead.
Or at least disembodied.
Very convoluted.
What a fucking MacGuffin. Yeah. And also,
didn't bother
Sith Wayfinders?
Sith Wayfinders.
Those are holocrons.
Yes.
Period. End of story. And when you have a universe, the first time it popped up on screen, I went, ooh,
yeah, I did too.
Sith holocron.
I was like, oh, wow, awesome. We're bringing holocrons.
No, it's a Sith Wayfinder. Force GPS is what we're saying.
Yes.
It's Force GPS, but you have to connect it with some kind of convoluted wiring system into the navigational system of a craft which has no navigational system.
Yep. What you got to do. Do
you see my face right now, Sketch?
I do.
It's very messy.
It is very messy.
TIE fighters have no navigational systems.
I'm very aware.
That's what astromech droids are for.
I know. You're preaching at me, but I know this.
It's for the long-time listeners.
Oh, okay.
The 3PO memory wipe, which I thought, oh, man.
Oh, you going for another rant? Okay.
This is all part of my how do you do this without knowing it's going.
Yeah.
It's one of the best parts of the movie, but it makes no sense because the whole memory wipe is because they've lost the dagger.
Yeah.
But then immediately after the memory wipe, they get the dagger back.
Yeah.
What was the fucking point?
Well,
just to bring in Carrie Russell in a faux Boba Fett outfit?
I think the point was...
Fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
Oh, boy. I think the point was, and I agree, I didn't write that down as a rant, but there were points where it was like, oh, you're just doing this for like cheap emotional responses. When we killed...
I love Baba Freak.
When we killed...
Baba Freak.
Chewie, I was like, fuck. I was like, that sucks. I was so pissed.
I saw the second time I saw this movie, I went with my nephews and their parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God. I was like, I know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. And so I was just like perusing. And I double takes between, it's the best way to see a Star Wars movie is between your nephews of, both below the age of 12.
Yes.
And just like gauge their reactions. But their mom's reaction was the best.
Yeah.
Few expletives there.
I bet there was.
And some tears.
And the thing,
just shock.
And my emotional response to it was less that Chewie died, which of course was upsetting, but that he died in chains after his whole journey. And I was like so upset. So then he's back and I'm like, hooray!
Yay!
But then we sacrificed 3PO. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we have lost someone. But then at the movie, we get 3PO back. And I'm like, oh, come on. I know we've lost Luke and Han and Leia in all these movies, but
3PO
we should lose
and
others.
Chewie, but here's the thing, and I understood in the old, and now they call it the Legacy universe, the old expanded universe. They killed Chewie.
Yes, they did.
And I understand why they did that, because Chewie is a character who doesn't speak in the books.
Yeah.
And so that's very hard to continue. So if you're going to kill someone, it makes sense. However, in a movie universe, arguably, these are the characters that we can follow forever, or can be supporting characters forever, because they're people in suits or remote control droids.
Yeah.
And so it was cheap, but made sense because 3PO and Chewie and R2 can, and BB-8 and Dio.
Dio.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
They can go on forever.
Dio is like my spirit droid.
Oh,
Doesn't
he
want
was
any
aw-
human
yeah.
interaction.
He was amazing.
Yeah, and I
Squeaky
mean,
wheel.
it was just weak to not
So
kill those
weak,
two
yeah.
because obviously I went into this thinking there's no way they're going to kill Poe, there's no way they're going to kill
Right.
Finn, and there's no way
They've
they're
got
going to
plot
kill
armor.
Rey.
They've
They're
got plot
gonna,
armor.
and so killing Chewie, I was like, oh shit, yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't. And then 3PO, oh yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't.
He's Luke's droid. Or he's Anakin's droid.
Anakin,
If this is the story coming to an end, then it makes sense that he would go.
Can I piggyback
Please.
onto a rant? This is minor, but it bothered me. And this is going to be controversial. I can feel people turning off the episode right here. Giving Chewie the medal. I was just like, it's too little, too late.
He deserves his medal.
I agree, he deserves his medal, but it was like,
late.
for starters, okay. It would have been touching if Carrie Fisher was still alive and could have presented it. That would have been great. Giving the honor to Maz was like, okay, why?
Well, so it doesn't really jive anymore after Solo, but in the old expanded legacy, the reason he didn't get a medal is because he owed a life debt.
So he was there. It wasn't a heroic
I guess
action.
it was his choice to be there and like swear to the life debt, but it wasn't like he couldn't accept, like there was a medal for him, but he could not accept it.
Correct.
But now that there are no more Skywalkers, that Leia had this was his medal.
That was his medal all along.
She had it the whole time, and now that there are no more Skywalkers, Han's dead, everyone is dead. This was Leia saying you're free.
Yeah, that's nice. But what I would have
was too little, too late.
What I would have preferred to have like a Chewie, like
Chewie Leia moment.
Yeah, a Chewie Leia moment, or just like a Chewie finally gets his success
goes
and
home
recognition.
to his family.
A family scene. A family scene.
Yes.
Give me that.
Chewie and goes home and can like atone for being
because
a horrible.
I know that is.
Parent.
That's probably part of the Legacy universe now, and blah 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 blah.
No.
That is not
holiday special. Is canon.
Okay,
yes.
good. Then he has a family, and I was like, oh, give me if you're gonna do something
Boba
for
Fett's in
Chewie,
it.
give me that.
It's canon.
Give me that moment instead of the medal. It just felt like, it'd be. I don't know if I got an award for something.
Oh yeah.
30 years later, I'd be like, fuck you.
Fuck
don't even
you.
bring it up. This is a raw wound. Anyway,
my kids have not seen me in 30 fucking years.
But I got my medal.
This
is what I've been sticking around for all along.
Yep.
F you.
That's what it was all about. Larry.
That does bring me into another one of my rants, if I may.
Sure.
Just go.
Well, while we're here, can I?
Do you have another Chewie rant?
It's not a Chewie rant.
Oh, okay. Metal rant.
It's not a metal rant.
Is it a Maz rant?
It's not a Maz rant.
Okay.
It's a Leia rant.
Okay, Leia rant.
Leia was a rant for me.
Okay.
She feels so disconnected from everything that is happening in the rest of the story because she is.
Well, yeah.
And everything that came out of it, like, oh, Leia was supposed to be the last Jedi. Well, you didn't set any of that up. And the part of her story that I enjoyed the most was her Jedi training, which she didn't have to be there for. That could have sufficed to set up the story.
Yeah.
We didn't need to see her as a general at the base because we saw her as a general in action in Last Jedi. And it was, look, I'm not trying to take away from Carrie Fisher's legacy, but the character was forced, pun intended, into this movie.
I like it.
They are scenes from episode 7 that were not used. It affected the overall story of the scenes when Rey looks to her and says, I want your bless, like all of her Jedi training. And it makes sense that like in episode 7, we're like, when did Rey learn to do any of this shit? Well, her whole training montage was cut out of the movie, which made no sense unless you knew that Carrie Fisher was not in good health. And you had that inside information, which apparently people did, to then cut it from the movie.
Jeez.
In the event. Why else would you cut it from the movie? Yeah. When you look back at Force Awakens, it's pretty, the plot kind of hinges on it because we're like, when did she learn all of this?
In Force Awakens?
in Force Awakens. She just shows up Starkiller Base and starts fighting with a lightsaber and using the Force.
I mean, I agree. But it always felt unrefined to me because I did watch that and Last Jedi right before I saw Rise of Skywalker.
And it still
I always
worked.
believed it.
It still worked, and that was part of my.
She seems scrappy.
It was part of my
why she's a Palpatine.
Why she's a Palpatine because the only other person in the universe. Oh, I'll save that. But the only other person in the universe we've seen be able to adapt on the fly is Palpatine. He changes fighting style for each opponent that he encounters. And Rey's style of fighting is Palpatine's.
Okay.
Like the way she uses a lightsaber, we've only ever seen Palpatine fight like that.
I will bring this up now so that nobody from Jakku doesn't write in to say this. There is one other character that changes fight scenes, but it is in the
is it in Clone Wars?
It's
or
in
something?
Rebels.
It's in Rebels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obi-Wan Kenobi changes up his lightsaber stances. When he fights Darth Maul at the end.
Right.
He starts as his classic Clone Wars era, and then he goes into Qui-Gon Jinn's fighting style, and then he ends as the old man Kenobi, that fighting style. That way we get to know.
True.
Which is how he beats
Darth Maul. But I would argue those are all things that he has learned over the course of his life.
Sure.
Whereas Palpatine just changes styles based on who he's fighting. Like Palpatine's ability was he was able to, like, essentially that was one of his Sith powers. That Mace Windu walks in and he now like fights like me. He's basically a video game character that mirrors you.
We will talk about this when we eventually do the prequel trilogy. But I mean,
I will agree that Obi-Wan does do that.
A great strength of a Sith is their flexibility and their adaptation, whereas the Jedi's downfall was their rigidness,
and not their lack of ability to adapt and manipulate the Force. They would only use the light side of the Force.
But that's a conversation for the prequel trilogy, for sure.
So the whole jungle base part of the movie and Leia's role in the movie, while, again, I think they did the best they could with what they had, clearly the story decision that should have made sense was would have been for Leia to die in Last Jedi.
Yeah, and that's what brings Luke out of retirement.
And that was what brings Luke out of retirement.
Yep.
And Luke can also still die, but as Colin Trevorrow intended, now he's the Force ghost pestering Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Throughout, like, see you around, kid. Well, apparently not. You just went back to Ach-To.
Yeah.
And waited for Rey to show up.
Yep. That was, and I said we're going to be done with Last Jedi, but I was rewatching Last Jedi, that was one of the things that really bothered me was like,
see you around, kid.
You know, we build up these characters for a generation to go, well, isn't it great to see like Rey being and how great it is to identify with her? Whereas like, well, Luke used to be that for a generation. So it's upsetting to see them fall from such grace. And the message is that after all the work you do, the best benefit you can have is to just take the blows and die. So the next generation, like, that's tough for people who identified with that character. I get why people were upset.
Talk about a fuck you.
I also, the last thing I'll say about Last Jedi, spoiler alert, not going to be the last thing I'll say about Last Jedi. But
this was my Leia rant, and you turned it into a Last Jedi rant.
And rewatching it, the whole Holdo thing, because I'm rewatching the whole Holdo thing, and like, everything makes sense.
Except Holdo?
Well, no. I'm like, people who defend Holdo and everything, I'm like, okay, fine.
Holdo.
But then at the very end, like, the last thing she says to Carrie Fisher is like, oh, I like him, about Poe, which like undermines like everything that she's established.
No, you don't.
So
you don't like Poe.
Anywho, this isn't the Last Jedi episode.
This isn't the Last Jedi episode.
Can I do a rant?
Please, yeah.
Maz.
Yo.
Well, Maz is a perfect example of the incontinuity.
Here's why Maz is in the movie is because she must have been in those scenes from
the first one?
What is it called? Force Awakens. She must have been at the base in Force Awakens.
See, I disagree because she can just be plastered in so easily. To me, it seemed like she was like the interpreter. Like, oh, here are the lines that Leia's going to say, and they don't really pertain to the situation. So Maz is going to be like, well, what she really means is blah, 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 blah. Because there seem to be instances like that in this. But my biggest issue with Maz, and she's kind of the poster child for the incontinuity of this entire trilogy, is that she was I guess, like the
Not
mystery
good.
box. She was nothing. In the first movie, she was mysterious. You're like, cool. Who
is
is this
she?
character? How does she have the lightsaber? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
In the second movie, she's like a soldier, like a
We see her
covert
for 2
operative,
seconds,
and
yeah.
she jetpacks off. And in this movie, she's like Leia's right hand person.
Which would have, I mean, if that's what they were doing with Rose, then that should have been Rose.
And I'm like, so who was this person? Was this person important? Was the whole purpose to give Chewie his medal?
Spectacled wearing.
Yeah, it was just odd.
CGI
she was
character.
just odd. And talk about satisfaction at the end. Like, if you're a Maz lover, there has to be no satisfaction for you at the end. Same thing with like Phasma. Like Phasma.
You know, in rewatching Last Jedi, that was my most surprising decision to kill Phasma.
Yeah.
After she escaped Starkiller Base.
Yeah.
And such a pitiful that seemed like the biggest waste of Last Jedi to me.
I could have seen Rian Johnson. Here's a hypothesis as to where Rian Johnson could have gone if he didn't kill Phasma. Was that I could have seen him making the decision that Phasma survives
again.
Yeah, again, because she survives everything. Brings back the First Order from the brink of destruction. Rey and Luke, through his sacrifice and everything, convinces Ben to kind of join the light.
Phasma leads the first.
Phasma, a non-Force user and a non-Force entity, hunts down the last two Jedi. And sure, it's Rian Johnson, kills them at the end, and that's the end of the series. I could see him going in that direction.
That would have made so much more sense.
Except he ended up killing Phasma, so I can't even be like, oh, that's what he intended, because he killed her anyway. But, she
what a great story if she was the villain of Episode 9.
Sure.
And then Ben and Rey have to fight her, a non-Force user.
Yeah.
But she is so skilled in combat, it doesn't matter that she's not a Force user.
And she's just got numbers that she can just overwhelm them with.
And that
force,
seemingly indestructible armor, unless you're shot with a walker.
Yep.
By BB-8.
By BB-8.
Fucking BB-8 killed Phasma.
I only have one last rant. I really want to get to raves. Do you have any more rants?
I have one last rant.
Okay. Wonder if it's mine.
Palpatine's endgame.
Nope, not mine.
And what the fuck was his endgame? Is he just horny? Is he just trying to populate the universe with his progeny? What is the final order? He's just gonna like fly out into the universe and kill everything? There was no real attempt to connect midichlorians of the prequels, the rise of the Empire. What is its purpose? Okay. The purpose of the Empire was to destroy every planet in the galaxy? That was his end game? He's going to put a Death Star weapon on every planet, and if he can't control it, he's just going to destroy them all? There seemed to be an infinite number of Star Destroyers they were just going to go to planets and just fucking destroy them all, because obviously none of them are going to like come back into the fold of the Empire.
I will.
May
I?
Sure, yeah, please.
Because I can't agree with you on this, because I actually wrote this as a rave.
His endgame?
Not so much his endgame, but the way they tied his story into what they did.
It's a big rave for me. His story is great, but I'm saying specifically his endgame.
I mean, his endgame,
his old legacy motivation was such a better story. Do you know his old legacy story?
No.
From the expanded universe?
Nope.
So turns out, with the power of the Force to look into the future, he sees that there's this race of insect-like aliens that are just a hive, and they're just numbers.
Yeah.
Sheer numbers.
Yeah.
They're just going out across the universe and just killing everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And he looks at, and he's tried to get the Jedi to become an army. And they're like, we're peacekeepers, like the blah, 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 blah. We're intractable. We just do the same thing. We have no ability to adapt. And he's like, well, fuck this. They're not going to be able to help us. And that is the purpose of the Empire and the Star Destroyers and the Sun Crushers and the Death Stars. Because this is the only way that civilization will survive.
It's the story of the Burning Legion in World of Warcraft.
Exactly. And which is where that came from what I'm told. From the
interesting,
the old expanded universe. And that's such a better, what if it's such a better story that new generation of, the First Order, Force Awakens, you got the Jedi are coming back, and then that race, I think they were called the Yuzan Vong or something like that, and they were just insect creatures. You couldn't reason with them, you couldn't rationalize with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this was Thrawn.
Yeah,
I remember it
Thrawn.
comes back. Thrawn, who features heavily in Rebels, was off on the front line, like trying to delay them until the Empire could get all of these things up and running, that they would be able to mount some kind of defense. What if at the end of Force Awakens, they arrive?
Yeah.
And there's just one Jedi and the First Order, and like, okay, maybe Ben is never redeemed, but like the Jedi, the Sith, let them die. None of it matters. That like, fuck it. I use the dark side. You use the light side. Fuck the Sith. Fuck the Jedi. Only this dyad in the Force.
Yeah.
We're the only thing that can stand against the end of everything.
Sure.
What a better story.
Sure.
And Palpatine's also alive.
Palpatine is also alive.
And that to me, if you're going to try and like say all this other stuff didn't matter, they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
No. They had no clear end game.
So he, like, his end game just doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess I read it differently, because I just read it that his end game was the journey of the Sith, and to just keep the Sith alive, that they this is how they pass on from generation to generation. And a galaxy ruled and governed by fear is a better breeding ground for Sith and stuff like that. That was just my interpretation of it.
I think he was just horny and wanted to seed the universe with his progeny. And I'll come back to it because it's also a rave.
Gross.
I know, right?
My last rant that I want to talk about, because I really want to get to raves.
Cool.
But this hurts me to say. It really does. But Mark Hamill's performance in this movie was not as good as Last Jedi. In Last Jedi, he knocked it out of the park. And that hurts me because I don't like that direction that Luke went in.
I know. It was so obvious he had phone. Like, it was obvious that he was on set for like a day.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it was reshoots
of
and it was just upsetting to me because I wanted more, obviously, and I wanted the caliber of Luke that I got in Last Jedi, but now
marshaling
coming to term,
his powers for now that I'm on the other side, it's all clear to me.
Instead, very flat, very. I mean, you almost needed a Yoda and Luke scene, from Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, both between Luke and Rey, and there was nothing profound. There was nothing profound.
Well, there was nothing for him to do. They gave all of the training to Leia, and Leia the Last Jedi.
All he said was, "I was wrong. Don't follow my example."
Right.
And once again, as someone who grew up with Luke, it's like, all right, then give me like some positive.
Right.
He caught the lightsaber. Thank you.
Great.
He lifted the X-wing out of the water. Thank you. I like those things. But with Leia's big heroic end and Han's big heroic end, Luke
goes out on a whimper.
Yeah, and you could say that he had his big heroic end at the end of Last Jedi, but he didn't, because he's a Force ghost. His character continues. Han's doesn't. And Leia's we don't see, so they have finite ends.
And it really makes
Luke has a transitional moment, but we don't see anything beyond that transition. We still see him, but we don't see his growth, and that was bummed me out.
Well, I mean, that's always been the problem with Luke Skywalker. He's not a dynamic character.
Yeah.
He's always the same person who runs away.
But he was.
It seemed like he had, for the first time, he was not a dynamic character. Yeah. He was a dynamic character.
Then we reverted.
Then we reverted again to his lack of dynamics. I have actually one last rant.
Sure.
Rey.
Sure.
Rey's a huge rant for me.
Yeah.
Her identity should not have been the crux that the story hung on. It solves nothing in the larger story. And embracing her identity somehow makes her impervious to Force lightning. It connects her to every Jedi we've ever met and allows 1,000 generations to live inside of her. I don't know, maybe that was a metaphor, except that it seemed pretty accurate because 1,000 generations also lived in Sidious.
Yeah.
I don't get what any of that was about. and just, in the grand scheme of things, they're just words that mean nothing. Her story was just like in words that meant nothing.
Well, again, this brings us back to I think we can both agree that the biggest problem in this movie
is Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, and just the fact that they did not have any plan going into this. In the first movie, we'll say, Rey's really important, and we'll figure out why later.
But this is also the problem of the mystery box, because
that's
they
what I'm talking about.
The whole,
yeah.
And this is a J.J. Abrams problem. It's not even a Rian Johnson's.
I'm not blaming him.
This is like all this other stuff's happening, and who is Rey?
I'm blaming.
We don't know
the lack of
who gives a shit.
Preparation.
Who gives a shit? And I agree.
I actually have a pitch, please, for the end of this movie.
Cool.
Which I'll do later.
An example of this is Luke says, "You have everything you need right here," and instead of her like looking inside of herself and completing her training, that means you have a lightsaber, an X-wing,
and books,
a Sith GPS system. And it's a holocron, not a GPS system. You can repurpose established artifacts in the world to complete your set and open the way to the final level of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
They're just all words that mean nothing. She literally set the Wayfinder on fire 30 seconds because it's such a quick montage after Luke says, "You have everything you need," and plugs it into Red 5 and then flies off to wherever the fuck that planet was.
The name of it's like
Me too.
Exion or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Another fuck you moment was like the books that they you couldn't read them and they were so boring, but in the books was the
books were crux. I mean, they were critical.
Literally pointed the way to
everything.
Hexagal. Hexagal it's called.
Let's call it that.
That's the name of it. Hexagal.
I have a couple of things that seem like they were.
Wasn't the home planet of the Sith Dothamir?
Maybe.
In the old the Eno were the light side of the Force, and Dothamir was the Sith. They were two. They were the race of Force use. Yeah, and it's in
Clone Wars.
No. It's in the new game that came out, Jedi the Fallen Order. You see the Eno, who were the original Force users, and you go to Dothamir and whatever the planet was. I think it's called.
I feel like this planet was.
I don't know what the fuck Exegol was.
I think it was more just like Palpatine's planet.
Yeah, sure, he had a whole planet, and there was an upside down Sith temple there.
Yeah, like he made it.
Sure.
Like you do.
Just filled with statues of himself.
Yeah. And like ghosts, I guess.
Fuck!
Here are things that seemed like a big deal and like a lot of people had strong opinions on. And I have little to no opinion on them. And I just want to see if you have any opinion on them. You probably do. That's a safe bet. The kiss.
Oh, man. See, I read that as we've both died and come back to life, and I place less value. I did not look at that as a romantic thing. I looked at that as I just died and now I'm not dead.
I see. Again, I didn't care about it.
In listening to J.J. Abrams talk about it, it's like, because they're kind of siblings, but no.
That's fun.
And yeah,
that's
apparently
you've
missed
Star Wars.
It's very Star Wars, but apparently you gleaned the wrong things from Star Wars, J.J. Abrams.
And childhood.
Yes.
Yeah. The new powers of force healing and force teleportation. They don't bother me.
Yeah, they don't bother me at all. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. And if they had explained what a dyad in the Force is better, I find it plausible as to why it worked.
Sure. But I guess that the teleportation is just between that dyad, but not the force healing.
Not the force healing. I mean, I've played games where force healing.
Yeah,
is a
force
thing.
healing has kind of like always been a thing.
And we've never seen it on screen, but
until this year.
People are complaining because they're like, "Oh, the only other place we're seeing force healing is in Mandalorian." Like, no, it's actually in all of the old expanded books that I've read. It's in a number of video games. Probably the best Star Wars game ever made. Jedi Outlaw 2, which just got remastered and re-released, and I really want to replay it. It's so good. I have it on GameCube. We used to play the multiplayer in college.
Nice.
There's force healing in that.
There's also force healing in Revenge of the Sith, because Palpatine talks about how Plagueis can manipulate the Force and the midichlorians to create life and prolong people's. So
No, I have no problem with teleportation and healing.
Yeah,
It
I had
makes
no problem
perfect
with them.
sense to me. That healing takes away your life force. Okay,
Yeah, you're, like,
sure.
trading
Like
it.
equivalent exchange, sure.
That's
Like we
fine.
never established that's what the force is, but okay, it's a little thing to me. Sure.
And I have no idea. I have no problem with new powers showing up in the last act. I mean, Force Lightning was brand new for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, sure.
It's okay.
Yep.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Stop being bothered, people. And
Sure.
and light speed skipping at the beginning, which is
People don't like that.
I've heard people complain about
I
it.
thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was a device. It was a device that just gets some worlds and
TIE fighters don't do well.
Would it have been neat if it had like came back early?
I thought it was just
sure.
I thought it was just another funny thing to like talk about how junky the Millennium Falcon actually is, and I love that the Millennium. How is that fucking ship still going?
Junky, but like made like a beast
Yeah,
because that thing can take a pounding.
You can like smash it into another ship. You can
planets.
You can fly it through the wall of a planet like that.
You can go into light speed from atmosphere. Like, they're not supposed to be able to do that.
No, you're not supposed to be able to do that. It's fucking awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. None of those things bothered me.
Let's talk raves. Because there's a lot of raves.
Yeah.
And I think people listening to this episode think you hate this movie.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Can I start?
Yeah, please do.
How it looks and feels like Star Wars.
It does look and feel like Star Wars.
And it's the practical effects and puppets and lore and mysticism and space battles. It reunites our core three of this trilogy. It puts their skills to work. That Poe is just an inspirational leader and pilot. Rey has the Force manipulation, and Finn has actual like combat experience and can lead a ground force. They're a trinity
and heart
and heart. Yes. And they're the trinity of this group, and it's not because they're family, and it's not because they're related, and it's not because they're like Force users. They're friends. Then they rely on each other. And one of my favorite, there's like that bro scene between. Finn
I love the bro scene.
That was such a great thing. It's like I can't do this like without you. I need you to be a general. I was like,
he's like, wait. Well, first of all, thank you.
Yeah.
And then later general.
Yeah. I mean, it's a prime example of like what works in this movie.
Poe's relationship with Finn was the best in this movie.
And quite frankly, I think Disney and Lucasfilm were not ready for. I think a lot of the story with Finn and why it goes kind of wily is that Disney and Lucasfilm was not ready for a Poe-Finn relationship.
Sure.
And I really think that's what they were setting up in Force Awakens. I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah.
But if we look at like the characters who have like the best chemistry, Poe and Finn right from the start.
Yeah. I believe in them more than anybody else.
Rey and Finn or Rey and Kylo Ren. They
Finn
really
and Rose.
Or Finn and I mean Poe is a pilot. Finn is a tactical ground soldier.
Mm-hmm.
They really do I think that was perfect that they finally set that up, that they're the generals that are going to lead this thing forward.
General.
Mm. There was it puts all of those things to work in a way that it worked and felt organic.
Yeah.
In a sequel universe that never really felt organic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just really happy to see puppets and practical effects yet, because when I rewatched Last Jedi, it was like really startling how like prequel CGI we went in that movie, rather than like the puppetry.
For as dark as Last Jedi was, I think this was the only movie to give us the decapitated head of a character who had lines before being a decapitated head.
Yeah, I would agree.
I was surprised when that decapitated head, and it fit.
Yep.
It made sense.
It worked.
It was appropriately dark.
Yes.
I want to start with that one, but I think I'm going to go with this one instead. I will say that the fact that JJ through everything was able to put this together despite Carrie Fisher's death and Rian Johnson's subversion of expectations.
In re-listening to our Last Jedi episode, one of the big questions was how do you end this thing at this point?
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able, right from the okay, Palpatine's alive, and this is where we're going.
Mhm.
And is it like high art cinema?
No.
Is it like the best that we could have gotten had they taken more time or planned this out? No, but it does make sense and work in ways in which, despite Carrie Fisher's death and everyone is dead on screen, as well as like a number of them are like dead and or unwilling to return, even though Harrison Ford came back. Yeah, I mean, it's as satisfying an end that I think we could have gotten under the circumstances,
and this
without
is where,
major delays.
This is where I'll weigh in my disagreement with you with Carrie Fisher, because if you notice, I didn't jump in on you.
Jump in there.
Because the scenes on the planet, yes. Did they take me out of the movie? Yes, because
just to reframe it, rants are anything that takes you out of the movie, and that's why it's a rant for me. Not anything to do with Carrie Fisher or those people that were sharing scenes with her.
I just couldn't help but being impressed that, okay, we stitched it together so it's still somewhat cohesive,
really well.
And then the Carrie Fisher's General Leia's conclusion, her big last moment, is all implied. She's not on screen.
Yep.
Everything she does in those last moments, where she basically does what Luke did.
Right.
She kind of projects herself in a way so she doesn't make herself seen by
She's
everybody,
not corporeal,
but she kind of becomes one with Ben.
Yes.
She brings him a little clarity.
I understand that instead of force projecting her image, she's force projecting her
spirit to Ben to kind of clear his mind
and block Palpatine's influence.
And she dredges up this
memory
of his father,
who is not actually a memory.
It's not a memory.
Leia. It's Leia.
It's not a hallucination. It's
Leia.
It's Leia using
this memory.
This is what you need to heal. This is what you need to get over. And she like nails Han so well, because when he wants to say "I love you," he just says "I know." Like, it's great. And then
right, because and this is a big contention. Like, why can Han Solo come back? Because
it wasn't Han.
It was
Han. Leia.
It's Leia. She's projecting this memory
and he didn't.
And
he did not need to see Leia in that moment. He needed to reconcile
because he had a chance to kill her,
and he didn't. So he chose not to kill her. But he also chose to kill Han. So
and that's what he needed to heal
to get over the hill.
And he says, like, this is a memory. It's not a memory, because he's able to have a new conversation.
Talk about events that have happened since Han's death.
Yes, it's implied that this is Leia,
and then
wearing the image of Han,
and then she stays with him to give him strength all the way through, and that's why they fade away together at the very end.
Yes, they are. She is sustaining him.
Yes, and beautiful.
Yeah,
what a great ending for Leia.
He fades into the Force, and then she fades into the Force, and
it's really beautiful. Like, to think about, like, a mother redeeming her son at the end. Lovely. And I think that was best case scenario on how you handle the character of Leia.
Agree.
Again, not the on-screen parts, because that was tough. There was limitations there, but then
that
having that
dovetails nicely with what I said. I think what worked best in her story was her Jedi training, and without the Jedi training setup, you couldn't believe that she could do that, because Leia Poppins, Space Leia, that we had talked about. And everybody talked about. With the Jedi training, you didn't need the base scenes really, except for to set up that now she's going to burn herself out by doing this. You needed her Jedi training sequence. You needed Luke's prophecy where he gives Leia's lightsaber, and you needed that. And that's all you needed. And the rest of it really just muddled the rest of the movie. That's such a big rave for me. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
While I'm talking about Ben Solo,
sure.
It's such a simple little rave, but his shrug.
Have you seen the Kylo Ren challenge?
Yeah, I have seen that since I wrote this.
I
fucking love that shrug.
That was when I was like,
that's Ben Solo.
He's Han's son.
Yep.
That's a Han move right there.
Move.
That's Han coming out of the bunker in Return of the Jedi with a look at what I pulled off.
Yep.
And I was like, thank God we got a moment where I'm like, okay, obviously
we learned all we needed to know about Ben Solo in that moment.
Yes. And I loved it.
Yep. It's an easy way to like quickly redeem him.
Just use a little body language.
Yep.
Body language in our existing knowledge of the
I'll
previous.
just say Adam Driver is such a great
He crushed it. He was
actor.
he was the best in the entire trilogy. I mean, Adam Driver from start to finish has delivered amazing.
Man, do you like just imagine if this had happened at the end of 8 and we got like Ben Solo through
episode
9. What? Oh man.
I know.
What a great actor.
That would have been great.
What a great actor.
I wish that's what had happened.
Me too.
I have many more rapes.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Take another.
Can I? I'm gonna jump around here and come back to a different one. Just say the duel on the ruins of the Death Star too.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. It was emotional. It was passionate. There was hatred and confusion. It looked great, and it was less like the lightsaber dueling of the prequels that was very choreographed. It felt very real and natural, and just like there's like hatred, but also like love and empathy, but also apathy, and man, the whole thing
very
was,
well captured the same tone and emotional weight of Vader and Luke's in Return of the Jedi. I mean, that was not a refined, awesome back and forth. That was just emotional fight.
Right. And it was just so well done. And you know, Daisy Ridley's progression as an actor through all of this too has grown, and both her and Adam Driver at this point in the movie, I felt like really sold that.
Yeah,
when she runs him through and kills him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
It was powerful.
It was.
It was more than I expected from a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Let me say. There. And also like healing him.
Mm-hmm.
All of that. That whole sequence.
The whole sequence was great.
And the ocean.
And Finn can't get to
her.
Yep. It was just a great set piece, and it was a great. I guess that was our last lightsaber duel.
It was
our Skywalker Saga. Yep. And it was a great one. It was a great one to go on.
That was our last lightsaber duel.
Yeah, lightsaber on lightsaber.
Lightsaber on, yeah.
Which
was weird because I understood the Knights of Ren to be the other students that Luke was training.
That is also what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also what I thought.
And apparently not.
I don't know who they are. I guess it's
who cares?
Not important.
Not important. Their lightsaber fodder.
I thought...
Look what I'm doing right now.
I see it. It makes great audio.
Thank you. I know.
This was the best C-3PO since the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I am not a C-3PO diehard fan, but it was so nice to see him return to him.
3PO is Elise's favorite character.
Really?
Yeah. He's just walking exposition. I don't get it.
I'm
but he was fantastic.
It brought it right back. That's the 3PO of the original trilogy.
Yep.
And he was great. I mean, that's all I have to say about it. He was just awesome.
He was.
Yeah.
It was a great plot device. He was well used, well written.
Yep.
Enjoyed it.
Yep.
I'll agree with that. We already talked about Luke. I don't think we need to go further into that. Do you have another one?
Oh, I got
great. Why don't you
I got raves
take
for
another
days.
one then, because I only have one big one left.
Okay. The movie had a ton of pure geek out moments.
Yeah.
Just like moments where I was like, fuck yeah! Where I was like, I was satisfied that I have followed this story for as long as I have.
Billy D. Williams,
he did great.
He came back in a big way.
But here are my top three.
Cool.
In no particular order.
All right.
They're all just high emotional responses I had.
Flying stormtroopers?
No.
That was a joke, guys.
Red 5 flying again.
Oh.
Okay.
That was amazing.
Fuck you, Ryan Johnson, because
I know.
You didn't have to put it in the movie.
Yeah.
That's not
I know.
good storytelling.
Yeah. That was a big fuck you.
That's
George
the
movie.
opposite of a Chekhov.
Right.
Anyway.
Red 5 flying was huge.
Red 5 flying again. And the fact that people recognize it. Yada, yada,
Red
yada.
5. We're getting a signal from Master Luke.
Yeah. That that felt good in my heart. Ahsoka's voice being in the Force voice
but that
collage.
means she's dead.
Yeah, which is a bummer. But
which we always theorized was the case
Yes.
after Rebels.
but just having her
I know,
as
yes.
one of the voices in that,
And also,
it's great.
all of those. So we had Ahsoka,
Mhm.
we had
Hayden Christensen.
but we also had Freddie Prinze Jr. voiced who taught Ezra.
Yeah, what's his name? It's a K.
Shit.
I think it begins with a K.
It does.
He's a guy from Rebels.
But damn it, I had it and then you said K and
Sorry.
lost it. It'll come back. to me.
Kanan?
Kanan Jarrus.
There it is. Might be a
Yep.
C.
We had Qui-Gon.
Yep.
And Yoda
I
and
know.
Obi-Wan and a bunch of other.
And I was so happy to have
other of the
all of
other
them.
Jedi from the Clone Wars and that we encountered.
But the fact that we got Ahsoka
and
specifically.
also
I fucking love Ahsoka.
what's his face from a couple people from games.
Yep.
And yeah, that was
awesome.
fucking amazing.
But like Ahsoka was the one that
Yeah.
my heart
Yep.
lifted.
because she had become she would left.
Yeah.
She still fought with lightsabers, but she wasn't a Jedi.
She was no
anymore when
longer a
she came
Jedi
back.
in
Yeah.
the
Fulcrum.
in the realm of the Jedi.
Right, that was her code name, Fulcrum.
And then the third one, probably the one that I had the biggest response, the Wedge Antilles.
Yes!
Oh
Wedge
my god.
Antilles!
When Wedge
That was
came
my
back.
last. That was my last big rant.
Oh, when Wedge
my
came
God.
back.
The fucking hero, the true hero
Yep.
of this fucking story, destroyed
Two
two
Death Stars.
Death Stars. He's arguably the most effective pilot
they have.
that they have. And when the shit hits the fan,
He's there.
Lando Calrissian and Wedge Antilles still laying down
Yeah.
the hurt.
I was
Fucking Wedge Antilles.
so excited. I mean, that was my biggest geek out of the entire movie. Was
Yes.
when he showed up.
When
I
he-
was
oh my God.
so effing happy.
When they cut to him, I lost my shit.
Yeah,
and Elise was
I
like,
did too.
What happened? I was like, it's Wedge.
It was just so
Oh my God.
heartwarming.
Who's
'cause of
Ewan
course he's gonna show.
McGregor's
Uncle
Which is fucking hilarious.
just shows up.
Yeah.
Um,
Wedge Antilles, the true hero of the rebellion.
and
He should fucking be leading the rebellion.
really who I thought was going to be the focus of Rogue One, but that's neither here nor there.
Agree. Yeah.
That was your last rave? Because I'll go through these.
I
my
have
last ones.
one more.
Okay, sure.
Should I save it if you have like a bunch more?
No, I think,
Wedge Antilles is the true. You agree with that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the pilot. Luke was
Yes.
never.
He should have been Red Leader,
Oh yeah.
right?
And I believe he became Red Leader after Luke went off to his Jedi training.
I agree.
No, go ahead, take a rave, and I'll go through my last ones quick.
Okay, so
I
my
have no
last,
idea how long we've been talking.
Hour and 16 minutes.
Perfect.
By my count.
And this is just part one.
This is just part one, guys.
Guys, we're back in a
Just
big
part
way.
one.
We're back in a big way.
Okay. Bringing back Palpatine.
Yeah.
It was the right decision.
Mhm.
He was the villain that we both needed and deserved.
Yeah.
And it could have been executed a little bit better.
Sure.
But it brings such context and clarity to the rest of this story
Mhm.
that we were watching Palpatine's story the whole time.
Yes.
It was always his story.
Always his story.
And we incorrectly assumed that Anakin was the person that the prophecy foretold.
Mhm.
And that was a big Yoda says in Phantom Menace. Unclear the prophecy
Unclear.
is.
Yeah.
We
I really wanna-
incorrectly assumed.
I want to talk prophecy in our next part because I got a big
me
question
too.
about it.
We incorrectly assumed that Anakin was the chosen one that would bring balance to the Force.
Mhm.
And it was Palpatine the whole time. And Rey being a Palpatine, the implications of this, without going too far into it, because I also want to talk prophecy and the other movies. But what we're watching, this dyad in the Force, what we're watching are two different branches of the Palpatine family tree.
Mhm.
The Skywalkers,
Mhm.
and then whatever Rey's given name was.
Mhm.
She is the granddaughter of Palpatine, and I would argue that Ben Solo was the great-grandson of Palpatine.
And we'll get there.
We will.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of stuff like being force teleporting and be able to pass things back and forth
Mhm.
works for me.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
And the problem is these are all things that are implied but never directly stated.
Mhm.
And we have made assumptions over the last 40 years that turned out to be incorrect.
Yeah.
And so bringing Palpatine back, what a rave, and finally saying unequivocally, nope, it's his story.
And that's another one of my
he
raves.
and Palpatine did actually bring balance to the Force.
And I like
The light
how,
and the dark and the light.
I like how they brought in a way that they've been ignoring all along. I mean, they brought in the prequels and talking about the idea of the Sith always having a master and apprentice. And we see why.
Right.
And was it perfect? No, but we have something now. We have okay, it makes sense why there's always a master and apprentice, and Sidious has been around for so long because his apprentices keep dying.
His apprentices
before
keep
they can
dying.
fulfill this kind of right.
Right.
And so that made me happy. That made me happy that that got a little closure.
It makes
at the end. It makes sense. Yeah. Two last raves for me.
Cool.
They're very simple and easy to say. I was very pleased that we got full diversity in stormtroopers because they are both male and female now.
Yes.
And I'm totally happy about that.
Cool.
Because
the ladies can be cannon fodder just as much as the men.
Just like the ladies fill up the resistance.
Yep, they fill up the Empire.
They fill both sides, and everybody's dying.
And it does answer the question. I mean, there's this debate about all of the stormtroopers and contractors on the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are no innocents on the Death Star. You choose to be there.
Yep.
Because apparently you can quit.
Yep. So I liked that.
Yeah.
And I
seems really easy to quit.
I did like that at the end of the movie it was just people that showed up.
Yes. I loved
They
that.
don't have a navy.
What?
It's not a navy, sir. It's just people.
I got a little teary-eyed.
That was great.
When
I love when it was everyone.
When their fleet showed up.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost is there.
Man.
Yeah.
When are they gonna do a Rebels follow-up?
I don't know.
Holy shit.
But yeah,
Can you imagine what that's
just
going to be?
people.
The Ghost has now been in every single action except Death Star 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So like
wonder where they were.
I mean, I think we're going to find out.
I hope so.
They did a Clone Wars sequel. They're going to, I think they have to do a Rebels follow-up.
Rebels ends with you need a sequel. It brings me to a wish, if you will.
Okay.
I wish we had seen Lando and Chewie traveling across the galaxy, recruiting.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I feel like that was left out to keep suspense, but we knew they were coming back. It was in the trailer that the Falcon shows up. Like, it would have been more fulfilling to see those little clips. Throw in more nostalgia, give us planets we've seen before, sure.
Yep.
Bring in characters that, like, oh, if you've seen this show, you know them. You do.
Yep.
Don't give them any time. Give them a little blip on the screen.
Give me like Padme Amidala's guard and his Naboo fighter ship.
Throw in. That's where you could throw in a light speed skipping. It's just
they're
skipping through things, blasting out a message.
Sure.
And people are rallying behind Lando and Chewie in the Falcon.
Yep.
I love it, dude. Give me that. Give me that. But the thing is, we had too much to fix. We had too much to retcon. You know,
the Empire hates that ship.
Empire hates that ship.
There are a lot of ships there.
I guess that brings us to big questions.
That was amazing. That I when that fleet showed up,
and the guy
they
just
don't
says,
have a navy.
It's
just people.
Just people. That's all it was. People.
At battle. Oh man.
Yeah, it's getting dark there for a little while. Getting dark. But then, just people.
And then the Falcon swoops in and saves it.
And you know
that
what?
was perfect.
Okay. Just another little thing, like with the Chewie dying and the C-3PO dying. Like when they blew up that planet, you thought that, like, what's his name, little midget guy, and the woman Felicity Jones. You think they're dead, and you don't know them, but okay, they're dead now.
They're alive.
And they're alive too. Yeah, like we've taken away all the big deaths.
Yes.
That's okay, because Leia had the best.
Leia had, yes. That's all you needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Babo Freak.
Babu Freak.
Bago Freak.
Babu Freak.
Baba Freak. Baba Freak. I was fine with him.
He was amazing. I loved him.
Yeah.
I loved
back
him. He
to
was
being a little
so
puppet.
fun. Yeah.
And that was Star Wars. That was so Star Wars when he
Yes.
just showed up in the little cockpit.
Yep.
That's high fantasy right there.
It is. That's the whole point.
Yep.
Escapism.
Wonder how she
Hope.
got off the planet, though, because she gave Poe, like, her ticket off the
She
planet.
had a ship the whole
She
time.
did have a ship, but... Well,
Obviously, she had a ship.
I guess the Empire... But she had the little disc, that was going to give her clearance
Well,
to
that
get
was
out
going
of there.
to, yeah. At that
But I
point,
guess they cleared out
they
after
cleared out
everything,
after.
and then she was like, oh, I'm out of here. And then kaboom!
Yeah.
Should have been a different
Maybe it
planet
was.
they blew up.
Maybe it was
Something
Babu
that
Freak's
we
ship.
cared
maybe it was,
more about.
Maybe it was his ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say maybe they got off on the ship that they went there with, but that ship was on the Star Destroyer, so that doesn't work.
Here's a big question. Can the Death Star and all of these other Death Star-like weapons blow up a planet like Bespin, which is a gaseous planet?
I mean, Bespin was okay.
Bespin was okay.
We see Cloud City at the end.
And, yes, we do. And they're but I'm saying, is a gaseous giant impervious? Does a gaseous giant have a core at the middle, a solid core?
Yeah, we've recently
because that's where
discovered that
Anakin's lightsaber was.
right. I mean, we've now established IRL that gas giants
Get your
are
IRL out of here.
all a gas giant is a planet with a true atmosphere. So like planet Earth,
So we can blow them up.
there is an actual planet underneath all that gas.
Okay, so they're not safe from.
So the reason that
From the Death
Earth,
Star.
like we have basically like a paper thin atmosphere on
Yeah.
planet Earth, which
Yeah.
is why it's so just everything
So
that's
weak.
happened, it's already paper thin.
Mhm.
Gas giants at the center of gas giants are
dense little nugget
basically a planet. There's
A
a planet
rock.
at this that's at the center of it.
with a hand and a lightsaber.
Sure. So yes,
So
you can
they
blow up
they're
a gas
not
giant.
impervious. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
There is a planet underneath all of that atmosphere, and then there is a core at the center of that planet.
Yeah. Wonder if they should have blown up Bespin instead of the other planet that we didn't care that much about.
Coruscant. They blew
Not
up
that we
Coruscant in
care-
Force Awakens.
In Force Awakens, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in this movie when they blew up,
Which didn't make sense if there was going to be a battle of Coruscant in Duel of the Fates because they blew it up at the end of the first
Was
movie.
there that kind of plan though?
Yes, in Duel of the Fates, there's a
But I
Coruscant
mean-
battle.
but I
Maybe that's
mean-
why it got rejected.
But I mean, were
Oh,
we
we
thinking
could
it
have
had that far?
we could have easily said that it wasn't actually Coruscant.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
I knew big question. We're throwing out like light big questions. Let's
Yeah.
do some actual big questions. Big questions. BQs.
How the fuck was Red 5 spaceworthy after what we see in it's been sitting at the bottom of salt water.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't know that it's salt water,
Don't
but
know
for
that
all
it's
intents and
salt,
purposes, it's salt
But
water.
let's say it's salt water.
It's been sitting in water for 30 years.
I honestly
it's-
think if it can handle space travel and re-entry,
30 years?
sure, I would believe it. I'd believe it.
I mean,
I have no problem with Red 5.
But water getting into the astromech compartment is different than the vacuum of space getting into the astromech compartment.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
So like water getting into the mechanics, because we've seen R2 manipulate it. It is open. Like once water gets in there, I imagine it's done.
I mean, R2 is pretty much waterproof. He falls in the swamp in Dagobah and spits out mud and is pretty much fine.
Sure.
I feel like electrical and mechanical components in the Star Wars universe are pretty darn weatherproof.
30 years is a long time.
But in Star Wars, is it?
Yes.
I don't know. I honestly think it's okay.
Based on the depiction of Luke in Last Jedi, yeah, 30 years is a fucking long time.
Well, for like humans, like for people.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Droids,
But like
yeah,
for
drop in the bucket.
machinery, I think it's fine. I mean, it brings me to one of my big questions is and it should be a rant. It should be a who the fuck do I need to blame for this? But Ben Solo flies a TIE fighter. TIE fighters do not have hyperdrive. Thank you very much. Not Imperial
Where
era
did he
TIE fighters.
Get his maybe that's
From
why it
one
took
of
him so long to get there.
that's
He
why they
takes the-
lingered
yes.
on it in the Death Star because
That
there
is,
are
yeah,
still ships there.
That is a big.
That's a
you're
big
absolutely
problem.
right. That is rant worthy.
Yeah.
How did he get there in a TIE fighter? An Imperial era TIE fighter that did not have light speed,
hyperdrive.
no hyperdrive. Yeah,
And
no astromech droid,
No.
no wayfinder.
No.
How did he get
I like
there?
to think that the way he got there with the... Okay, it's inexcusable, the hyperdrive thing.
Yeah, that's
But I like to think that the way he got there was Rey was broadcasting how to get
the
there
signal,
to
and he
everybody,
followed it.
which is also how, like, just people showed up.
right.
Just regular old people. But no hyperdrive.
No
He
hyperdrive.
couldn't have gotten there. And also no life support system, which is why they always wear the helmets and stuff. But I'll
Right.
give you that maybe he found a functioning life support system. But he's not slapping
He's
on a
not- yeah.
hyperdrive onto that
No.
TIE fighter.
No,
That was just for the nostalgia of them playing together. And
Right.
it's not a rant. It's damn near close to a rant.
that I would say that's
And
a
I
rant.
and I would argue that
That's just bad writing.
Incom, the company that makes X-Wings, make a better quality
X-wing than they do
thing
lightsaber.
that
TIE fighter.
Yeah, and TIE fighters
TIE fighters are fucking garbage.
They're garbage.
They're just fodder.
They're just fodder. They're
Yeah.
just that's the whole point of them. It's just
To
lots
protect
and
the
lots
Star
of them.
Destroyers. Yeah,
And
overwhelm them. No
and
light support
those-
system. No light drive.
those should have deteriorated
Yes.
off the Death Star.
I mean, the mechanism that held them in place should have. How did that survive?
Yeah. And they plummeted to a planet.
Yeah.
They also should have survived. Way too much of that was it. Anyway.
How did that other random moon that we never see orbiting Endor?
Yeah.
We
That
only
took
ever
the
see
brunt
one.
of everything.
Oh man.
I wonder if nobody from Jakku is going to write in on this episode and be like, actually, the TIE fighter was given a blah, blah, blah. I don't think it was, though.
I don't think it was.
I really don't think TIE
Nope.
fighters got hyperdrive
Nope.
capabilities until... I don't even think they had hyperdrive capabilities in Force
in
Awakens.
Force Awakens, that was new to
To this one.
this one.
They started
Yep.
following,
Light speed tracking
Yep.
and
Light-
hyperdrives on.
which I'm fine with
TIE
because they
fighters is new,
established
yes.
light speed tracking in the last movie and
Yep.
they've expanded the technology. Fine.
right now that
and
they
now
have light
they've
speed
given-
tracking, there's a reason for TIE fighters to have light
Sure.
speed.
Give them.
Yep.
Sure. Fine with it. But not that old fashioned.
Not that old
That
fashioned
one
one,
wasn't
no.
getting there. It's yours. Because I piggyback.
This is I already talked about this a little bit.
Mhm.
Is Rey a complete dynamic character? It seems like we're leaving her in the middle of her story,
Mhm.
not the end.
It really does feel like stay tuned for episode 10.
Right. But there won't be an episode 10. This is the middle of her story. She's
Well-
built her lightsaber.
Then this is the time. This is a
Now-
great time for
now
me to
she's
say
only,
my pitch, please.
okay.
Because I will be the first to admit that I liked what happened in the movie. She buries the lightsabers.
Even
she
though it
sees,
makes no sense.
it makes
it's
no
not
sense,
Luke's
but she sees
lightsaber.
Luke and Leia. Who are you? Ray.
Sure,
Ray what?
yeah, Skywalker.
Ray Skywalker. Okay, a
Here's
little
my
welling in my
yellow
chest.
lightsaber.
Okay, fine. I think it would have been a better story if she murdered that woman. And not just the men, but the women and the children. No, I'm just kidding. I say that
It's really embracing her Palpatine lineage.
end this movie with Rey going full gray Jedi. Because then she truly does bring
So she
the
should have had a
balance.
white lightsaber.
Well,
For a gray Jedi.
but
Because yellow lightsabers were the guardians of the temples.
But I'm also
right?
fine with it being yellow because if nothing but you've seen are the in-cinema movies and you really just
sure,
had...
gray Jedi have yellow lightsabers.
Yeah, like I'm fine with that because it's the third primary color and
Yeah.
it's separate from your Sith and your... I'm
Sure.
fine with that.
Okay.
But so when
She's a gray Jedi.
when the
Right.
old lady goes, Rey who? And she sees the twins and they nod and they fade away because they're finally put to rest. The
Right.
Skywalker saga is over. And then she just says, just Rey.
Right.
She
Yes,
comes to terms
just
with
Rey.
the fact that she, it
Rey
doesn't
Solo.
matter. Sure, but like
not
the
Skywalker.
The message is she can be just Rey. Like
Right.
it's such a moment
She
for
doesn't have
her
to be a Skywalker.
at Burning Man when the little kid is like, "What's your last name?" and she's like, "Dun dun dun, I don't have
I
one."
don't have
and it's-
one.
But and then end the movie with her being like, "I can be just Rey."
Just Rey.
Do you remember that iconic scene in Empire Strikes Back? Luke is staggering out into the snow after getting out of the Wampa Cave,
Yeah.
and Ben shows up to him. And Ben, exactly. And Ben says, "Luke, you must travel to the Dagobah system.
Don't leave
There
me.
you will find
He wasn't-
Yoda."
He wasn't listening.
And Luke didn't go,
Yoda who?
Yoda who? We don't need last names in the Star Wars universe. But also, it's just a more powerful message for Rey to, at the end, be fine with just being Rey. The Skywalker Saga is over.
Sure.
Is the Skywalker Saga over
I
now
don't-
because
I don't
she's
think
Rey
so.
Skywalker?
I don't know.
It's nice and it's poetic that she's taken on the thing, but this was supposed to be the end.
End of the Skywalker.
So
Saga. I would agree with you.
my pitch Just Rey.
Can I also just piggyback onto your pitch that Rey should have had a green lightsaber?
Sure.
And
Piggyback away.
And my reasoning for this is the reason why Luke's lightsaber is green. We've seen the destruction of the last kyber crystal mine in
Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. So there are the only kyber crystals that exist are kyber crystals that are already in existence at this point, which is why Ben Solo's Kylo Ren's lightsaber is so wonky better. Because
it's imperfect.
Well, it's the way you create a red lightsaber is like by corrupting a kyber crystal. Like the Sith basically like choke the light out of it, and they're left with they basically poison a kyber crystal.
And he just wasn't good at it.
He wasn't good at it because Ben Solo is not a Sith.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Knight of Ren. That's why he doesn't have the title Darth.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. I would argue, like, where did Luke get his crystal?
Yeah.
Where would he have gone to build a new lightsaber?
Where?
The only place that we've established, the only two lightsabers in existence at this point were Anakin's and Obi-Wan's.
Yep.
And where would Luke have gone to make his new lightsaber in the style of Obi-Wan's, which is, we've been confirmed now, Mark Hamill was recently given the prop from Return of the Jedi, and that prop was the lightsaber that Alec Guinness used in Episode 4. It's the same one, and they just redressed it slightly for Luke in Episode 6.
So you're saying the green saber was Obi-Wan's saber?
The green saber was Obi-Wan's saber with a new crystal.
Okay.
Where would Luke have gotten that crystal? Well, he would have gone back to Ben's abandoned hut. And what the only other lightsaber, and this is why I think the crystal is green. Qui-Gon's. He took the crystal out of Qui-Gon's saber, which Obi-Wan would have had parts. He would have had Qui-Gon's saber, and he would have had maybe pieces from Ben's to build a new saber. So he would have had Qui-Gon's saber. And so Rey's saber should have been green because the only other lightsaber in existence that at this point that is not buried is Luke's green lightsaber.
Yeah.
Which I think was inside of R2 the whole time.
Yeah.
Because we've seen R2 store it before.
I am sad that we didn't get more R2, but I did read...
He wasn't the droid of this universe.
He wasn't the droid of this universe.
And it was because...
Kenny Baker passed away, and it was a purposeful decision to let him rest. Yeah. And so I can't fault it, but I can't help but...
I know.
Miss R2.
Yeah.
R2, we know. That brings me to another big question, though. Look at how well we're
dovetailing.
One with the Force. Has R2-D2 at last transcended artificial intelligence by demonstrating compassion in never revealing to his best friend 3PO that he was created by Anakin Skywalker? Because we established in this movie that R2-D2 can give 3PO back all of his memories.
All his memories at any point.
So R2 is actively choosing to not reveal that C-3PO was created by Anakin Skywalker.
I hope so.
I feel
yes.
He is now surpassed programming.
Yes.
He is a sentient being.
Wow. I didn't even pick up on that, and I fucking love it.
I think
yes.
This movie shows R2 is now elevated to that level.
Yes. Strong agree.
Yeah. Good. I'm happy you agree with that because I think he has.
I loved that he did make the final run in Poe's lightsaber and Poe's X-Wing.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I was happy BB-8 was on the ship.
Right.
So that I would have been so pissed if R2 was still on the planet and like sitting out of a battle. He went in again.
He did.
He went in again.
Just like Wedge.
Yeah. I felt like that. Oh yeah, here's a light big question.
Wow. Thank you. Strong agree.
Thank you.
I think that
I'm going to deposit that.
Yeah.
That after everything, R2 has grown to that point.
Yep.
Here's a light big question. How come the command ship didn't just pitch a little bit to the right or the left, port or starboard,
and make
all the horses just and plummet?
Plot armor.
They were like, oh shit, horses! Jam
their speeders.
Jam their speeders.
They're not using speeders.
They're using horses. Oh, we don't have any defense against horses. We just pitch it a little bit.
We can just list lazily to the left.
Yeah, that's it. And then they plummet.
Oh man, yeah, because that was the big reveal that they were going to fall off the Star Destroyer because it was crashing.
Yep. A lot of dead horses on that
A
planet.
lot of dead horses. Oh wow.
That was I do like that scene.
Oh.
There's no way Rose,
Oh my goodness.
especially in this
There's
movie,
no
'cause
way she got all those horses back on the drop
Rose is heartless in this movie. I'm just gonna say it because like it was a completely different Rose.
It was a completely different Rose.
There's that point where like Finn and Poe are going off on their adventure to help Rey, and Poe and Finn's like, you can come with us, and she's like, oh, I have to stay here. And he's like, well, when we get back, and she's like, if you get back. Like, fuck you. Last movie you were all about hope, and your sister's sacrifice not being in vain, and we fight for what we love, not against people. And now she's just like,
that's what trolls on the internet do to a person.
I guess so.
She's like, fuck it.
So
you gonna die. Gonna die.
And then he's like, I gotta stay here to blow it up.
Siegel's gonna get you now.
Okay.
That's deep. That's
a deep cut.
It's a deep cut.
Just pitch it a little bit, I guess is what I'm saying. Just a little and you're fine. But I did like his death. That was a great explosion scene where that general, were we supposed to know who that was? Because he
seems to be an older version of someone who survived.
They
named
played
him
it in a way that was like he served the Emperor previously.
Right.
And has been serving him all ever since. And then when everything blows up and you see him
it's problematic because we've never seen him previously.
That's
and
what I thought, and I was trying to think who he was.
The first order.
But he had a good death. He had a good death.
All right, this is my last. Do you have another big question? My last one is very involved.
My others are more kind of entire series, so I'm going to wait for part 2 of our Star Wars discussion.
Okay, so mine kind of starts this conversation. However, I'm going to ask it now because I immediately went, wait, how did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
How does Ben Solo cross over into the Force, i.e., who teaches him the skill?
Yeah.
Follow up, how did Anakin learn the skill? And I can come to only one explanation, and it really bums me out.
Okay. You want to give your explanation, or
I
you
would
want
like
me
you to give me your answer.
Okay.
Because hopefully it is, I go, oh, thank goodness. And you already told me you don't have a good answer.
Unfortunately, the prequel trilogy really effed us with Force Ghost.
Yes.
Because the original trilogy made it seem that, like, this is just what a Jedi can do. Can come back to the Force.
I disagree.
In the original trilogy?
I don't think it posited that this is just what a Jedi can do.
Oh, okay. Why?
Let me finish your explanation.
Okay. So, but in the prequel trilogy, we learn that it is something that that Qui-Gon has unlocked.
Yes.
And that in exile, Obi-Wan
is going to learn.
We're going to learn and blah 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 yada yada yada, which then kind of negates. Then okay, well then where did Anakin learn it, and how can Anakin come back? What?
Oh no.
What I think now is.
Oh no.
What?
Keep going.
Oh, what I just think now is that
you're reinforcing my point.
It just seems to be like. It almost just seems to be like the Force's decision, and not really anything to do with the person's life. Because the prequels make it really problematic that Anakin comes back as a Force ghost, not goat, because he fucking murders children, and there should be no happily ever after for a character who murders children.
Correct.
Sorry, but was that controversial? You shouldn't be redeemed if you've murdered children.
Yes.
Cute little children that are looking for your protection
should not be able to cross over into the Force.
Ugh. So
Sketch, you're reinforcing
the fact that
conclusion.
Ben comes back or he doesn't come back, but he blends into the Force. It makes it seem more like it's a Force thing taking people.
Oh no!
I don't think Ben, in his last moments, were like Yoda did, just like at one with the Force. I don't know.
Well, he did. He faded into the Force.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I no longer based on the fact that it was Ben. Because I don't think he has that kind of understanding of the Force.
So your answer is that the Force just chooses people.
Yeah, it's the Force's will and not the person's.
No. Everything that you've said just reinforces my theory.
What's your theory?
It's really a downer, Sketch.
Okay.
It's a real downer.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw another
Shoulda-
force sensitive log on the fire.
Should have saved my R2 big question as our
I'm
last
going
big
to
question.
I'm going to channel everything you just said is wrong.
Okay.
Um
That was your favorite line of that movie.
wish
You got
you
it
had
tattooed.
I wish you had presented something more convincing to me.
Sorry?
Um
Didn't know that was my responsibility.
it was. I told you the only answer I could come up with really bums me out.
Okay. I'll see if I agree with it.
The whole problem with the Jedi is that they refuse to adapt.
Yeah.
They use the Force.
Yeah.
Sith manipulate the Force.
Yeah.
The Force projection, or Force ghosts appear to be a manipulation of the Force.
So you think it's a Sith
And
power?
so, yes, and here is my rationale for it. How does Ben learn the skill, and how does Anakin learn the skill? Because it is established
Mhm.
at the end of Episode 3
Mhm.
that Qui-Gon is the first Jedi.
Yeah, he's figured it out.
He unlocks the skill,
Mhm.
and he has taught it to Yoda, and Yoda is going to teach it to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's going to be able to commune with Qui-Gon.
Mhm.
And so Luke becoming a Force ghost, Luke would have learned the skill from either Obi-Wan or Yoda or a combination of the two
those
in his training,
books.
or the books. You know, he has primary source knowledge. I
Mhm.
don't think the books he would have learned it from. I'm thinking Force Ghost Yoda at some point. Because there's 30 years in between.
Force Ghost reads to me like an ancient power that has been forgotten by the Jedi. And their path has taken them from it, away from it.
I agree. It's manipulation. I think it's a Sith power.
Okay.
And so if I'm looking at this universe and saying, well, how does Anakin learn the skill? Anakin could not have learned the skill from Qui-Gon,
Mhm.
and he couldn't have learned the skill from Obi-Wan because he parts ways with Obi-Wan before Obi-Wan has learned the skill.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have learned it from Luke
Mhm.
because he doesn't meet Luke until Luke is an adult male, and Luke hasn't learned the skill yet,
Mhm.
essentially, right? Based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
And we know that the first time Yoda has appeared to Luke
Mhm.
since he
Yes.
last saw him
It's on
is on Ach-To.
Mhm.
So where does Luke saw this happen? He communed with Force ghosts, so he's unlocked it, and they're able to teach to him.
Mhm.
The only way Ben and Anakin could have learned the skill is from Palpatine, who we are told Snoke is Palpatine. Palpatine's Force ghost has been inhabiting Snoke's body. Snoke was just a vessel for Palpatine's Force ghost.
Okay.
He says to Ben, "I am every voice you've ever heard in your head."
Yeah,
it's always been Palpatine, and the only difference is we've never seen a Jedi use their Force ghost to inhabit a corporeal body.
Mhm.
Where did Qui-Gon Jinn learn the skill?
See, and
Qui-Gon
yes,
was the Padawan of Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Count Dooku was the Padawan of Palpatine, Darth Sidious. So
originally Yoda, but then he becomes the apprentice.
So Dooku
Mhm.
would have been learning the skill.
Sure.
A novice himself. And part of what we learn, and I would say that Dooku's dabbling in the dark side of the Force starts much earlier, before he fully embraces his Darth Tyrannus and becomes a Sith. What we know about Qui-Gon Jinn is he was a very unorthodox Jedi.
Yeah, he did not follow
Jedi teachings. No. He was offered a seat on the council. He refused. Mm-hmm. He was essentially a hermit.
He disagreed with the council.
He disagreed with the council
like the way the Jedi were
because of the teachings of his master, Count Dooku, who was a borderline and later a Sith.
Okay.
Essentially, Qui-Gon didn't know that he was a Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Or he did know he was a Sith and had prior knowledge the whole time
Mhm.
that Anakin was, in fact, Palpatine's son.
Mhm.
And that's the whole reason that this journey starts. So Qui-Gon, I'm left with either one of two conclusions. Qui-Gon Jinn
Mhm.
is either an unwitting Sith or is a Sith.
Okay.
And that Force ghosts are a Sith power. And I love Qui-Gon Jinn.
I also love
I
Qui-Gon
love
Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. He is like, and probably because of like how he's like, no, you're killing us with your intractability, Jedi Council. Like,
Yeah, he was the voice of reason.
He was the
I
voice
mean,
of reason.
The Jedi Council was so stuck up their own
Right.
asses that they were basically ineffective.
And so Qui-Gon and Darth Sidious has influenced this whole wing of what is left of the Jedi.
Mhm.
And so I'm the only way to me that Anakin and Kylo Ren could have learned this skill was from Palpatine.
Mhm.
And that means Qui-Gon Jinn was a Sith?
Maybe. I see where you're going.
And it's such a bummer to me
And
because
I'm
I love that
following your
character and I want to like believe that everything that he does and says is for the greater good, but now I'm saying, "Oh shit.
Well,
Was this Palpatine the whole time?"
Here's where
And
I will defend it.
Qui-Gon was Sidious's agent within the Jedi Order the whole time, and when he dies, the next movie we come in on, he's like, Anakin Skywalker's got to be on the fucking council, bitches.
Mhm.
It was like, but you're not a master, but you have to be on the council because the Chancellor wants it, but you're not a master. And so it was like Qui-Gon, the wrench in the gears the whole time, and it's such a downer to me, man. It's such a downer.
Well,
It really hurts. Like,
here's what I think.
ugh.
And here's why.
So I'm hoping you can throw something back at me now. I was like, no shades.
Here's what
Qui-Gon's not
thought
an accidental Sith or a Sith.
Here's what I thought they were going to end up doing, which they did not end up doing. This is what I thought they were going to do with Last Jedi and then finish it in this, was show that the strife of the galaxy, all the evil and ill that has befallen the galaxy through what we've seen in the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War, and now I guess, what do you call this, the War of the First Order, is all directly a result of the extremist views of Force users, assigning themselves as a Sith or a Jedi, whereas instead there is simply the Force. And
Sure.
then there are the methods in which people use it. There are the moralities of the people who use it and what they're willing to do with it.
Sure.
And I feel like Qui-Gon touched upon and wasn't allowed, we as viewers weren't allowed to really get into Qui-Gon's vision, but Qui-Gon was someone who was in the Jedi religion and in the Jedi Order, but was recognizing the fact that they are just as dangerous as the Sith. They have perverted this natural this natural phenomenon of the galaxy.
Sure.
And they have assigned to it all of these rules and regulations and stipulations that are man-made or being made,
Right.
that is just as dangerous as what the Sith is doing.
Sure.
Because, I mean, Anakin goes down the deepest, darkest path. He murders the children because he's trying to save someone he loves. I mean, he is told by the Jedi that love is forbidden.
Right.
Love is
Yes.
forbidden for our hero organization. And that's a big problem. And I thought this trilogy was going to end with, which is why I say Rey should have gone full gray at the end, was that our biggest issues were assigning these extremist views and these
Sure.
extremist methods of using the Force as the end all be all of the conflict.
Okay.
Whereas for the universe to continue on, the Force is going to be there regardless of
Anybody using it.
People who are Force sensitive should aim more for that center.
Sure.
And don't let it get mucked up by stuff.
Sure.
Because, as we said earlier, Force healing is established earlier in the whole story through Darth Plagueis. I
yes.
mean, Force healing can be argued to be a, quote, Sith power. But
Right.
for all we know, the Jedi, if they've discovered it, have considered it taboo because it's giving your force to somebody else, which sounds to me very altruistic and very good thing to do, and sacrificing your own force for someone else. But they've, in their benevolency, have decided it's taboo, and we don't do that. That sounds too much like love. Love is bad. So my answer, to bring it all back around, is that Sidious and Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, everyone we've ever followed in this is a result of very ancient early teachings of the nature of the Force before it was understood, and it's still not understood, and it has just been perverted over the generations to be a sickness, a plague upon not just the Sith. I'm lumping the Jedi in with it too, and it's their conflict that does it. So Force ghosting, Force fading, Force lightning, they're not specifically Sith or specifically Jedi. They're just Force powers. And it's these rules that the beings, the corporeal beings, have put on it, who can use it, what they're going to do with it. And that's anti-Force. That's against the will of the Force.
I like it.
But you don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
That's fine.
Can I have one final piece?
Sure.
And you kind of alluded to it, and it goes back to, we've only ever seen the apprentices die. Yeah. Always two there are.
Until this final one, yeah.
Sidious is the master.
Yep.
Dooku was the apprentice.
Yep.
Dooku has an apprentice. Darth Maul. Except Darth Maul is his replacement apprentice.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn was his original. And it's his new apprentice that kills his old one.
Wait. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. Okay, you got Sidious.
You got Sidious. You've got...
He makes Dooku.
Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah.
Darth Tyrannus's apprentice was Darth Maul. Except he's not. Qui-Gon was his original apprentice. And it is his new apprentice, Darth Maul, that follows Qui-Gon throughout the whole movie and then kills him at the end.
I thought Maul was specifically Sidious's apprentice.
Darth Maul was Darth Tyrannus' apprentice. We've only ever seen the...
When did we get that?
It's implied. Always a master and apprentice.
Yeah.
We believe, like, when... This is where we continue to misread things, and things are always implied.
Mm-hmm.
It was implied that Darth Maul was the Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Sidious is the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
His apprentice is Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
Dooku's apprentice was Darth Maul.
Okay.
But Maul is his second apprentice after his first embraces a middle path.
Mm-hmm.
And I argue that Qui-Gon Jinn was a Jedi who became a Sith, who rejected it all and walked a middle path. He's the first gray Jedi. And before they can move forward, Tyrannus has his new apprentice, Darth Maul, kill his old one. Because we believe that we're told in the movie that Maul is, I believe, it's been a while since I've watched all of this, we are led to believe that Maul is an assassin trying to kill Amidala.
Right.
In reality, he's always been following Qui-Gon Jinn to take out the original apprentice of Darth Tyrannus.
Okay. Interesting theory. It's a theory.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I see the gears are turning.
Yeah, I'm mulling it over. I
can see that you don't like it, but I can also see that it makes sense. There's a lot of sleight of hand and misdirection in the prequels.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely on both sides.
And they were movies made for kids, and I think that's the problem with them. That was the target audience. But they're very complex, and they're not shot well because it's the dawn of like CGI, and
I do want to do the prequels.
It's problematic. I also want to do the prequels because at the end of the day, and I said this to you, at the end of all of it, when you look at all of these movies together, I would not have of which three movies, which out of the three trilogies, which one told the like from beginning, middle to end, told the most like succinct, coherent story.
Mhm.
My takeaway would not have been the prequels.
Mhm.
But in terms of like a story that plays out over three movies with a clear beginning, middle, and end, and things that you establish in the first act that are continued in the second act that then resolve in the third act, it's the prequels.
Well,
And you can't, and it's little petty things like Luke and Leia kissing because they don't know their
no, I
siblings,
agree.
but that's like because Lucas didn't know they were siblings when he wrote the first movie because he wrote it as a standalone movie. It was an independent movie that was picked up for distribution by Fox.
But the prequels, and I agree,
Have
they
the-
tell
you-
a cohesive story from start
they have
to
the
end.
benefit of the
They
middle
have
of the
the
story
benefit
having been
of-
written. Yes.
They already have an end.
Yes.
They have to get here.
Yes.
Lucas has
already told
he has,
the end of the story.
Yes, he needs to get here.
Right.
The first trilogy didn't have that,
Right.
and this trilogy certainly didn't have that.
Yes.
So the prequels, if this thing came out in actual order, 1
Right.
through 9, who knows where
Who
we'd
knows
be.
where we would be?
But yeah, the prequels definitely benefit from being
and
the
the
only trilogy that
prequels have
you
been
have to get here.
Elevated in my mind over the years as subsequent Star Wars properties have come out.
Mhm.
And certain are they the best filmed? No. Like, and are they the best written? No. But as a trilogy, it might be the best trilogy in terms of telling the story.
A 3-part
A
story.
3-part story.
Yeah. Mhm.
Not where I thought we would end the Skywalker saga.
Oh, like I said, it had to be.
Yeah.
It had to
Yeah,
be.
agree.
The original didn't have to be.
Right.
Here's more money. Make another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Vader's his father.
Ooh.
Oh, here's another one.
Have you
Force
seen the
lightning.
interview where Mark Hamill talks about the Empire reveal,
Yes.
and he only found out on the day they were going to shoot the scene
it was
when
a
they gave him
different reveal.
well, it said Obi-Wan killed your
yeah,
father.
yeah. That's what was in the script.
Yep.
And so when they revealed it, it was a
Right.
genuine
It was,
reaction.
yeah,
like
it was
that.
a genuine reaction when he only read it right before. It was like,
Yeah.
George knows it. I know I can't remember who directed Empire.
Mhm.
It was like, I know it, George knows it, and you know it. So if it leaks, we know it was you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then Mark Hamill does it's on the Graham Norton show. You should go find it. Mark Hamill does an amazing Harrison Ford impression.
Yeah, that must have been Mark.
Yeah, Graham Norton.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with the
Yeah, so that was my last big question. And my answer is that Qui-Gon Jinn was a Jedi who became a Sith along with his master, who rejected everything and became essentially a gray Jedi, who was then murdered by his master's new apprentice. And the only way he could have learned that skill is if he learned it from Darth Tyrannus, who learned it from Darth Sidious. And that is how everyone subsequently has learned that skill from Qui-Gon,
Mhm.
who essentially learned it from Palpatine, which is the only way Anakin and Kylo Ren could have learned it. Just to bring it back to my original
bringing
question.
it back to your original question. I mean, I do have to point out that Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, never came back as a ghost.
But he crossed over into the Force.
He did cross over into the Force.
Yeah. We just didn't see his ghost.
Which I assume is what everybody does because everyone can talk through. Seems like once you become one with the Force,
You
you
can
could
talk
talk
through
to it to anybody.
Yeah.
It's Qui-Gon has come up with a way to talk to the living
The
in a more
living.
corporeal form.
And it's a manipulation of the Force, which is a Sith skill.
It is.
Sad times.
Don't think it's bad though to manipulate the Force.
I'm not saying that it's
Because
bad
look what
to
happened
manipulate
to
the
the
Force.
Jedi.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. It just bums me out that Qui-Gon
Mhm.
is a Sith ? And I think the answer to that is yes, or at the very least started down that path before rejecting it, as well as rejecting the Jedi Council.
I would go as far as to say he is an unwitting pawn.
Yeah,
in Sidious.
which is also a bummer to me because he seemed to be the voice of reason and the only true, like, we just have to train this boy. Like, he needs to be trained.
Yeah.
Because it's implied, I think, that Qui-Gon fell in love with Shmi.
Oh, really?
I think so. That Qui-Gon sees himself as a father figure to Anakin.
It's so effing weird that Jedi can't love.
I know, right?
Like, if that's my biggest rant in all of Star Wars, is that Jedi
Yeah.
can't love. That just seems so counterintuitive.
Well, it's
Anyway.
because the Jedi are loosely based on. They're a combination of like samurai and Catholic priests.
Oh, sure. And I get that it's so that you don't have the attachment.
Right.
But still.
Yeah.
But still.
Seems kind of arbitrary.
Seems like you're just asking for trouble at that point.
Do you have any more big questions?
No. No, the others I want to ask in our part 2.
Cool.
When we talk about the trilogy as a whole.
I think that brings us to Shades and Sketch recommendations.
I'll go first because mine's an easy one.
Cool.
Next week we're going to talk about Mandalorian, so I'm recommending Mandalorian.
Cool. And do you want to say anything about it?
Oh,
No?
it's really good. It's on Disney Plus. It's worth doing your week trial to watch it.
Yes.
You'll blow through it super fast.
There's 7 episodes.
And
Watch an episode a day.
I think it's 8
Is it
episodes.
Oh, you can watch 2 one.
Yeah,
one
you'll
day.
want to.
Watch the first 2.
And
All at once.
or the last 2.
Or the
last 2
yeah,
make it
last
good.
2. Oh man.
We're going to talk about it next week. It's super good. You'll hear me say next week, I'm sure, that or next episode, that it's the best Star Wars that Disney has pumped out.
Strong agree.
Since they've taken
We have
over.
spoken.
Yep, we have spoken. And they have shown us the way.
They have shown us the way.
So, Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. And I am going to recommend Outlaw Star.
Oh, remember Outlaw Star? I remember
Outlaw Star. Love it. I would say it's probably in my top 3 anime of all time.
Wow.
And here's why I'm going to recommend Outlaw Star. Because there is... in my sci-fi media, I tend to be drawn to stories, and everything seems to be following in the same vein of like a River Tam character, i.e. Firefly, where there's like this mystery character that we have to unlock who they are, and they're some, in stasis, mystery, we open it up, usually it's a girl inside. Mandalorian, spoilers, it's not a girl inside.
Not a girl inside.
You've been spoiled already what it is inside the crate. And that's Outlaw Star. The first time I know that being done is Outlaw Star. And so if it seems to be popular in modern sci-fi storytelling in which you have this character and we know nothing about them and we're going to learn who they are over the course of the series. Outlaw Star. And it's a great series, and it's fun, it's bonkers. It's a space bounty hunters, essentially kind of Star Wars, but not. It's very clear to see this influence on all sci-fi media. So just watch that. And I think it's on Hulu. If you have Hulu, you can watch it on Hulu,
cool.
I believe. I have the entire series on DVD.
So you can also watch it there?
Yeah, you can. I will let you borrow my DVDs right into the show. We'll talk about it. I will let you borrow my DVDs when you send Sketch his Sequest DSV
Still
blueprints. Still waiting.
Christmas is come and gone.
Yep. Way to drop the ball, guys. So yeah, there's my recommendation.
And if you like that kind of story, Zoid's Chaotic Century also
follows the same thing.
Yep.
So it is a big trope in modern sci-fi storytelling, and I think Outlaw Star was possibly the first. It certainly predates Zoids.
Does it?
Yeah. Outlaw Star, early 80s, I believe.
I'm trying to think when the Zoids manga came out. I'll have to look that up.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's part 1 of
Sketch,
our
is there anything you want to take?
Welcome back. Yes. There is.
What are you going to take?
Now you're going to get mad at me.
Oh, what are you taking?
You always get mad at me. Taking Red 5.
Oh.
For my fleet.
Very cool. Yeah, nobody's using it.
Now, yeah, and that's going to be the last time we see it. I hope it's the last time we see it.
I hope it's the last time we see it.
Because it won't make sense anymore.
It won't.
So I've taken Red 5. It deserves a better resting spot than the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's always been my top tier ship.
Well, that's very funny because I'm going to take the Millennium Falcon.
Perfect.
Because the Empire is defeated and there's no need for it anymore.
All the solos are dead.
All the solars are dead. Chewie's, let's be honest, Chewie's not going home.
Yeah, and this falls into the tradition of a white man coming in and stealing Lando's property. So it's perfect for the end of
he didn't seem all that broken up about whatever that droid's name was.
Dio?
No. The droid
Oh,
that's the computer. L5.
L3E7. Because it's supposed to, if you flip it over, it's supposed to say the same thing.
Oh.
No, like it's if you put L3 E7 and you flip it over
it's
on
L3,
itself, it's also
E7. Gotcha.
That's what they did. There.
I needed that. I needed that little. I needed him to be like,
I'm back.
I'm back.
I missed you.
Yeah, L3.
Or C-3PO to say something when he's communicating with the ship, like who the fuck is this? Because they're meeting again for the first time.
Right.
Anyway, maybe she died. Like the Falcon has been trashed so many
Falcon
times.
has been
It's not
trash.
fire at the beginning of
Hey,
this
you know what?
movie.
It's okay. We're taking it.
Taking it.
Can I have some space in your hangar?
Sure.
Thank you.
Indefinite, so I can carve out a little
Thank you.
piece.
Appreciate it. My first spaceship,
Red 5, man.
Millennium Falcon.
Oh, what an amazing ship. Still my fantasy ship.
Really?
Oh, like if I
Red
were to
5?
get like a dream, like a wish. Oh, you can have any ship you've ever seen ever. Oh, Red 5. Pop it in my backyard.
Oh, I'd take Swordfish.
Yeah, I mean,
Cowboy Bebop.
no, it's a good one too. But I mean, Red 5.
Swordfish.
I love Red 5.
It's like a space motorcycle.
Well, I just love. Yes, it doesn't seem very comfortable to me. It seems less comfortable.
I don't know. Like doesn't look like there's a lot of like padding or anything inside. It seems very ergonomic to me.
Interesting.
Swordfish.
All right.
Red 5 seems like you're just sitting in like metal. There's like no seat.
There's a cushion.
It doesn't look it.
There's a cushion down there. You honestly think Porkins wasn't flying around with a cushion? That man lived his life in cushions.
Oh, and what's his name from Heroes? I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah, he
but
died in
man,
this one.
he's gained some weight.
And that was
I
not a
like,
take back.
he had a tiny little ship. Was that like a cruel joke?
They
I
just
mean,
let
literally,
him
I
die.
felt they just let him die for no
The
reason.
only one they let die in this movie.
Wow.
And Leia. Leia had a good death.
Leia did have a good death. He did
That's
not.
what we got to end with.
Matt
But Leia had a
Matt
good
from Heroes
death.
did not have a good death.
No. A lot of
boy.
Heroes references in this episode.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
There were a number of lost characters.
Never saw it.
What's the guy?
Yeah, the guy
Pippin?
from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, one of the
he
two.
was on.
One of the
he
two
was
hobbits.
on. Yeah,
I
Pippin.
can never
He was
keep track
Pippin.
of the two of them. Marion and
Pippin.
Poppin.
and he gave
Marion and Poppin. Oh, I
he
didn't
gives
realize that.
it's Pippin.
Pippin, I know, but
Yeah.
so
Marion and
close
Poppin,
that
yeah.
it's like,
Mary
oh,
Poppins.
oh.
He gives Chewie a pat on the shoulder.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
And with that, longtime listeners,
We'll see
we'll see
you
ya
next time
next
for
time.
part 2 of our Star Wars Season 2 Shades and Sketch Spectacular.
Sure.
The opening. Working on the name.
First.
We're working on the name. Guys, we only had a month to come up with the name of this thing. And it's perfect. It rolls off the tongue.
It does.
I'll never be able to repeat it again.
And we will see you
See you
next time.
If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at patreon.com/shadesansketch.
Our website is shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesandsketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved, 2020.